their respective offices, managing the company's matters. Zhou Hao planned to build a building independently as the headquarters of Tongguang after the company had developed to a certain extent. Now, he would let Tongguang Company stay in this small-scale commercial building for the time being. He saw Yin Tong in the office and saw that she was seriously looking at the account books and documents on the table. She already had the temperament of a strong woman and looked very capable. Seeing Zhou Hao come in, Yin Tong asked, "How is it? Did you see that friend of Qingqing?" Zhou Hao nodded. "I saw him." So he told Yin Tong about Du Fenghai in detail. After hearing Zhou Hao's words, Yin Tong frowned deeply. "I didn't expect that Qingqing would meet such a person. Qingqing wouldn't really like him, right?" "I don't think so." This was what made Zhou Hao the most at ease. He had seen it just now. Yin Qingqing only treated Du Fenghai as an ordinary friend. But that Du Fenghai had bad intentions, which made Zhou Hao very angry. "Then what should we do? Call the police?" Yin Tong said. Zhou Hao said, "There is no evidence. There is no use calling the police." Although with his relationship with Sitoli, it was not difficult to send Du Fenghai to prison. However, it was still the same problem. Zhou Hao could not explain to Yin Qingqing how he dealt with Du Fenghai for no reason. "Where's cousin Qingqing? Where is she?" Zhou Hao wanted to find Yin Qingqing. He wanted to find out how she and Du Fenghai knew each other. Why did Yin Qingqing say that Du Haifeng was injured because of her? Yin Tong said, "She should be at the seafood market now to buy ingredients for Mrs. Zhou's restaurant." Therefore, Zhou Hao went to the seafood market. It was the biggest wholesale market for meat and vegetables in the Xiang city. Many restaurants were here to buy ingredients. Zhou Hao quickly found Yin Qingqing in an ice wholesale store. She was buying ice food there. More than 10 employees of Tongguang were moving the box of ice food onto the company's truck. Zhou Hao did not go up immediately. Instead, he looked at Yin Qingqing from not far away. He saw her talking with the owner of the ice store about the exchange of money. Seeing her talking to the owner of the ice store, she was very experienced and decisive. It was hard to tell that she had just turned 18 this year. She looked like a strong woman who had been rolling around in the business field for many years. After the handover, Yin Qingqing turned around and saw Zhou Hao, who was looking at her with a smile not far away. At this moment, she changed from a decisive and mature woman to a shy little girl. Her face was flushed red. She shyly walked up to Zhou Hao and said, "Xiao Hao, why are you here?" "My mom said that you were shopping here, so I came to see you." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "You looked so familiar just now. Hee, you are already a true strong woman." "No, compared to Aunt and Aunt Pinger, I am still very far away." Hearing Zhou Hao's praise, Yin Qingqing felt sweet in her heart. Seeing those employees move Bing Xian onto the truck, Zhou Hao asked Yin Qingqing, "We have already completed the task. Do you have time?" Yin Qingqing nodded and greeted the employees of Tongguang. Although the employees did not see Zhou Hao often, they knew that he was the young master of the company. What they didn't know was that Tongguang was built by Zhou Hao. After that, Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing went to a small tea house near the ocean market. After they sat down, Zhou Hao said to Yin Qingqing softly, "Cousin Qingqing, working in the company must be very hard." Yin Qingqing shook her head. "It's not hard. My life is very fulfilling now. It's much better than before. I can also learn a lot of things. Auntie and Aunt Ping are also very good to me." Zhou Hao smiled. "That's good. Oh, by the way, Jiming asked me out to meet him last night. He said that you have someone you like. That's why he rejected his request." Yin Qingqing was stunned, then lowered her head and said in a low voice, I didn't say who I like." Seeing Yin Qingqing's innocent attitude, Zhou Hao's heart shook. He couldn't help but reach out and grab her hand on the table. Yin Qingqing trembled violently but didn't pull her hand back. She just let Zhou Hao grab her hand and didn't dare to look up at Zhou Hao. Looking at Yin Qingqing, who looked like a quail with a tender heart, Zhou Hao couldn't help but think in his heart, this gentle and kind beautiful girl. He was the only one who could have her. He absolutely couldn't let a despicable person like Du Fenghai touch Yin Qingqing. "Xiao Hao." Suddenly, Yin Qingqing raised her head and looked at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao responded softly. Yin Qingqing said, "Actually, there's something I want to tell you. It's about my friend." Zhou Hao was slightly stunned. He originally wanted to ask her about Du Fenghai, but he didn't expect her to tell him now. Zhou Hao couldn't help but feel happy. It seemed like Yin Qingqing still placed him first. He said to Yin Qingqing, "That friend of yours? Is it the friend you've been sending him meals recently?"
Yes.
Yin Qingqing said, "Actually, I didn't want to hide it from you and Aunt, but I'm afraid you'll be worried." Zhou Hao said gently, "How can you think like that? We are family. We should not hide anything from you. Even if something happens, we can help you." Yin Qing nodded. I drove there that day. I was talking about shopping with a businessman, but I bumped into someone on the way. She said, I was very scared at that time, and the surrounding people looked at me fiercely, so I immediately sent that person to the people's hospital for treatment. Yin Qingqing drove a Mercedes-Benz and hit someone. No matter if it was intentional or not, the people around her would not be friendly to her. It was just like in Zhou Hao's previous life. When he saw a BMW woman bump into a pedestrian, she would immediately be criticized by the netizens. This kind of phenomenon happened. On the one hand, it was true that those BMW women were boastful and domineering, but it also couldn't rule out the public's hatred towards the rich. Zhou Hao thought to himself, if those women who bumped into people didn't drive a BMW, but a Chery QQ or Santana, then the criticism she would receive would be relatively less. Although there was no internet yet, the public's hatred for the rich was still there. Once they saw Yin Qingqing driving a Mercedes-Benz, they bumped into someone. It was very easy for them to blame Yin Qingqing for all the mistakes they had made. After listening carefully to Yin Qingqing's words, Zhou Hao knew that the person she bumped into was Du Fenghai. The doctor said his left leg was broken by my car. Yin Qingqing said, Du Fenghai was originally a track and field athlete of the provincial sports team. Now that he was injured by me, I don't know if it will affect his future development. Besides, he doesn't have any relatives in Xiang City, so I sent him food every meal. Her face was full of guilt. In her opinion, if Du Fenghai's career as an athlete was forced to stop because of her, then she would have made a big mistake. Break his left leg? Zhou Hao sneered in his heart. He had seen it clearly in the hospital just now. There was no scar on Du Fenghai's left leg. This was because Du Fenghai had lied to Yin Qingqing. Moreover, Du Fenghai was a drug addict. Even if he was really a member of the provincial sports team, he would have been kicked out long ago. Zhou Hao asked Yin Qing gently, when did this happen? Is that Du Fenghai's left leg all right? About half a month ago. Yin Qing said softly. The doctor said that his leg needs at least 3 months to fully recover. Then the hospital's expenses and hospitalization fees are all paid by you? Yin Qing nodded lightly. It was me who injured him, so of course I have to take responsibility for it. She was a kind and extremely responsible person, so she naturally had to take responsibility for the trouble she caused. This was also the reason why she had not told Yin Tong and Zhou Hao about it for so long. She did not want to implicate Zhou Hao and the others because of the mistakes she had made. Then why did you suddenly tell me now? Zhou Hao asked with a smile. Because. Yin Qingqing lowered her head again. Because I don't want to hide it from you. Previously, Zhou Hao was still in Hong Kong. She already felt very uneasy and conflicted when she hid this from Zhou Hao over the phone. Now that Zhou Hao had returned, she became even more nervous in front of Zhou Hao. She felt that it was a great sin for her to hide this from Zhou Hao. It was even more serious than hurting Du Fenghai. Zhou Hao also knew how important his position in Yin Qingqing's heart was. He placed Yin Qingqing's hand in his palm. He said gently to her, you still have to deliver food to him tonight, right? Then I'll go with you. You don't know. When my mom saw you leave food for others every day, she thought that you had someone in your heart outside, so she rejected Mr. Zhao's offer. Yin Qingqing was stunned. How could that be? Aunt, why do you think so? Why would I treat Du Haifeng? Zhou Hao patted her hand. I know you won't like that person. Okay, Yin Qing answered softly. Usually, in the company, she was an increasingly mature and capable assistant general manager. However, in front of Zhou Hao, she always acted like a little bird that was dependent on others. She would never go against Zhou Hao's wishes. She would do everything according to Zhou Hao's wishes. Before Zhou Hao came here, he had told Yin Tong not to tell Yin Qingqing the truth about Du Haifeng first. During dinner, Yin Qingqing still kept Du Fenghai's portion. After dinner with Zhou Hao and Yin Tong, Yin Qingqing brought dinner with Zhou Hao to Du Fenghai in the hospital. After following Yin Qingqing to the people's hospital, Zhou Hao said to her, Du Fenghai is staying in a private ward. The hospitalization fees should be quite a lot every day. It's more than 500 yuan a day now. It's not including the fees. Yin Qingqing also felt that the hospital fees were a little high. When they arrived at the 8th floor of the hospital, in front of the private ward that Du Haifeng was in, Zhou Hao heard that there were other people inside besides Du Fenghai. The voice sounded very familiar, and it did not sound like the 2 men who brought heroin to Du Fenghai. He knocked on the door. Someone opened the door to the ward. However, the person who opened the door stunned Zhou Hao. This was because this person was the high school classmate of Xiao Jiming whom Zhou Hao met last night, Du Yijuan. Why are you here? Zhou Hao frowned and asked. At the same time, He slightly turned his head to look at the ward and saw Xiao Jiming inside. When Du Yijuan saw Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing at the door, she was also stunned. She said in confusion, "Zhou Hao?" Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing walked into the ward. Xiao Jiming was also very surprised to see them, especially Yin Qingqing. After all, she had been rejected by Yin Qingqing. Although he had thought it through now, seeing her still made Xiao Jiming feel a little awkward. "Jiming, why are you all here? Do you know this Du Fenghai?" Zhou Hao asked Xiao Jiming. "You know him too?" Xiao Jiming said, "This Mr. Du is Yi Jun's brother. I heard he was hospitalized, so I accompanied Yi Jun to take a look." Zhou Hao frowned. "He is Yi Jun's brother?" He suddenly remembered that Du Fenghai and Du Yijun both had the surname of Du. When Du Fenghai, who was lying on the hospital bed, saw Yin Qingqing, he immediately greeted her with a smile. "Qingqing, you're here." Then his gaze fell on Zhou Hao, who was beside Yin Qingqing. "This is the cousin you mentioned?" Zhou Hao took 2 steps forward and extended his right hand to Du Fenghai. He said with a bright smile, "Mr. Du, right? Hello, my name is Zhou Hao. I am Qingqing's cousin." "You hello?" Du Fenghai felt a little awkward when he saw Zhou Hao, who was much better than him in terms of appearance and temperament. Yin Qingqing also asked Du Fenghai, "Fenghai, didn't you say that you have no relatives in Xiang City?" Before Du Fenghai could say anything, Du Yijuan looked at Du Fenghai and said, "Brother, you still haven't forgiven Dad?" After saying that, she turned to Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing. "My brother has been good at sports since he was young, but my father doesn't want him to be an athlete. He wants him to study science. But my brother doesn't want to, and he was chosen by the provincial sports team in high school. So he went to the provincial capital without caring about his father's objection. He hasn't been home for a long time." Xiao Jiming also said, "This time, Yijun has a friend who said she saw her brother in the hospital. So I accompanied her to take a look." "Brother, when did you come back to Xiang City? Why didn't you go home to see your parents? They all miss you." Du Yijuan said to Du Fenghai, "Also, why did you suddenly get hospitalized? Even your feet broke?" Hearing this, Yin Qingqing said to Du Yijuan guiltily, "I'm sorry. It's all my fault for being careless in my car and injuring Fenghai. I'm really sorry." "You injured him in your car?" Xiao Jiming and Du Yijuan were very surprised, but Yin Qingqing kept apologizing. Du Yijuan was very nervous about her brother. When she heard that Yin Qingqing had hurt Du Fenghai, she wanted to scold her, but she apologized so sincerely. Moreover, Yin Qingqing was the one who paid for Du Fenghai's medical expenses. For the past half-month, she even sent food to Du Fenghai every day. Du Yijuan couldn't bring herself to scold him. On the other side, Zhou Hao's heart turned serious. He originally wanted to deal with this Du Fenghai who had ill intentions towards Yin Qingqing. But now that he knew that Du Fenghai was Du Yijuan's elder brother, he had to be careful. At this moment, he heard Du Yijuan and Du Fenghai say, "Brother, Mom and Dad really miss you. Why don't I ask them to come and see you?" Yin Qingqing also said, "That's right, Fenghai. Since you're back, let's see your parents. We're a family, so what can't we discuss?" She was kind and willing to help others. When she heard that Du Fenghai did not get along with his family, she also tried to persuade him. Du Fenghai looked at the beautiful and moving Yin Qingqing and nodded. "Since you have said so, then let's do it this way." He looked at Du Yijuan. "Yijuan, let Mom and Dad come back tomorrow. It's already dark, so it's not convenient for them to go back and forth." When Du Yijuan heard that Du Fenghai agreed to meet her parents, she felt extremely happy and grateful to Yin Qingqing. She was very experienced. When she saw the way Du Fenghai looked at Yin Qingqing, she had already faintly guessed that her brother might have fallen in love with this kind and beautiful girl. And her impression of Yin Qingqing was also very good. If she could become a family member, she would definitely be happy. Seeing the warm food Yin Qingqing brought to Du Fenghai, Du Yijuan knew that Yin Qingqing was a clever girl and a perfect candidate for her sister-in-law. She knew that Zhou Hao was Yin Qingqing's cousin, and Xiao Jiming was also Zhou Hao's good friend. Therefore, she wanted to use Zhou Hao to help Du Fenghai put in a good word so that Du Fenghai and Yin Qingqing could have more chances to be together. "Zhou Hao, can I talk to you for a while?" Thinking of this, Du Yijuan immediately pulled Zhou Hao out of the ward. Zhou Hao was thinking about how to deal with Du Fenghai when he was pulled out by Du Yijuan. She asked, "What's the matter?" He thought that if Xiao Jiming and Du Yijuan really developed a relationship, it would be tricky for him to deal with Du Fenghai. Du Yijuan looked at Zhou Hao with eager eyes. "Zhou Hao, Miss Yin is your cousin, right? Is your relationship very good?" Zhou Hao said with some doubt. "Yes. Cousin Qingqing and I have been very close since we were young. What's wrong?" Du Yijuan was also very happy when she heard that. She muttered to herself, "That's easy. With you helping my brother say good things, Miss Yin will definitely listen. She said to Zhou Hao, Zhou Hao, you also know that my brother is a provincial athlete. What kind of athlete was he now? Zhou Hao sneered in his heart, but he still nodded and said, yes. I heard from my brother that his performance in the provincial sports team was very good. He might represent the country to participate in competitions in the future. His future could be said to be bright. Du Yijuan said happily. It was not that she was trying to flatter Du Fenghai, but she also believed that Du Fenghai would have a bright future. Although Miss Yin hurt my brother, she has been taking care of my brother all these days. Our family is very grateful to her. When he heard Du Yijuan say that Yin Qingqing took care of Du Fenghai without missing a beat, Zhou Hao felt unhappy in his heart. He had now understood the whole matter. At most, Yin Qingqing would send 3 meals a day to Du Fenghai. She would occasionally chat with him, but it was far from being all the time. He heard Du Yijuan say, Miss Yin is beautiful, and she knows how to be considerate. So my brother has already fallen in love with her. She looked at Zhou Hao with more and more earnest eyes. So, Zhou Hao, can you help me? Tell my brother good things in front of Miss Yin, if their good things can be achieved. Our family will be very grateful to you. Zhou Hao's face was gloomy. He didn't expect Du Yijuan to be the matchmaker for him. Without thinking, he decisively said, I'm sorry, I can't help you with this matter. Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing were in love with each other, even though they didn't dare to put it on the table for others to know. However, even if Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing did not have anything to do with each other, they would not let her be with someone like Du Fenghai. When Du Yijuan saw that Zhou Hao refused without hesitation, her expression changed and she said, Why? Do you think my brother is not good enough for Miss Yin? My brother is a provincial athlete. He might be able to win glory for the country in the future. Is he not good enough for Miss Yin? Zhou Hao sneered. So what if he can become a national athlete? Zhou Hao knew that in China, even athletes who had won world championships might not be very good at living. Unless they won the championship in some popular sports events and gained the favor of the advertising companies, the living standards of the athletes were about the same or even lower than that of ordinary workers. In Zhou Hao's previous life, retired athletes died of illness due to poverty and even earned gold medals by selling everything they had for their lives. Moreover, Du Fenghai was now addicted to drugs, and he was afraid that he was no longer an athlete. Du Yijuan wanted to say more, but Zhou Hao suddenly waved his hand. He said with a dark face, I advise you not to do this kind of matchmaking in the future. Not to mention me, even cousin Qing will not agree. She doesn't like your brother at all. He also didn't want to talk to Du Yijuan, so he turned around and wanted to return to the ward. However, Du Yijuan pulled his arm and said unwillingly, How do you know that Miss Yin doesn't like my brother? You're not her. If she doesn't like my brother, why would she cook for him every day? Zhou Hao snorted coldly. She felt guilty because my cousin Qing hurt him. My cousin won't like people like your brother. You're not her. How do you know she doesn't like him? Du Yijuan said, Who else would she like if she didn't like my brother? Would she like you? Zhou Hao suddenly felt that this woman was really annoying him. He said impatiently, Cousin Qing likes me. What can you do? After saying that, he shook off Du Yijuan's hand and returned to Du Fenghai's ward with a cold face. When he returned to the ward, Zhou Hao suppressed the anger in his heart, because it was better not to let Yin Qingqing know about these things, lest she think too much. In the ward, Yin Qingqing was chatting with Du Fenghai about Du Fenghai being an athlete in the provincial hospital. However, as soon as Zhou Hao entered the ward, Yin Qingqing's gaze immediately shifted to Zhou Hao. Her attention also changed, and even Xiao Jiming, who was beside her, noticed this. When Du Fenghai saw that Yin Qingqing's attention was shifted to Zhou Hao, he deliberately sighed and said, Thinking about my life in the provincial hospital is really touching. A carefree life. I just need to think about training well every day. But now, the doctor told me before, even if my left leg recovers, I'm afraid I won't be able to do track and field anymore. And the coach also called me last night. He said that because I can't return to the team for half a month, the track and field team has already removed me from the list. As expected, Yin Qingqing's attention returned to Du Fenghai when she heard this, and she said anxiously, Then what should we do? Why don't we talk to your coach and beg him to let you return to the team? Du Fenghai leaned against the bed and looked at the ceiling of the ward sadly. It's useless. Even if I can return to the team, I can't practice track and field anymore with this leg of mine. My sports career has ended. As he spoke, tears flashed in his eyes. His feelings did not seem to be fake, but Zhou Hao guessed that he might have been kicked out of the provincial hospital in the past. Now that he thought about what happened at that time, he felt something. However, Yin Qingqing blamed herself when she saw Du Fenghai's dejected look. She thought that it was because she hurt Du Fenghai that his sports career was interrupted. She turned around and grabbed Zhou Hao's hand. Her eyes were filled with tears as she said, "Xiao Hao, you should help Fenghai. It was all because of me that he became like this." She looked at Yin Qingqing, who was so anxious because of Du Fenghai. The hatred in Zhou Hao's heart towards Du Fenghai deepened. He wished he could expose this fellow's lie on the spot. However, he was afraid that this would cast a shadow in Yin Qingqing's heart. She knew that her kindness would attract the deception and greed of others. This would disappoint her humanity, and she would never dare to lend a helping hand to others in the future. Zhou Hao said, "It's useless even if I help him. He said he can't practice track and field anymore. I think he can only give up being an athlete." Du Fenghai was very jealous when he saw that Yin Qingqing always prioritized Zhou Hao. However, he still remained calm and deliberately said to Yin Qingqing, "Qingqing, you don't have to blame yourself. I have already decided to give up being an athlete. I have hands and feet, so I'm not afraid of starving myself to death. Don't worry. How about this? If you're willing, come work for our company." Yin Qingqing suddenly said and turned to Zhou Hao. "Zhou Hao, can you say this?" "No." Zhou Hao immediately said. Inviting someone like Du Fenghai to Tongguang Company was undoubtedly like putting a big rat into a rice bucket. This was really inviting a wolf into the house. But once he said this, it would inevitably arouse Yin Qingqing's suspicion. So he immediately explained, "Even if I want to invite Mr. Du, I'll have to wait until he recovers. Didn't you say that he needs to rest for 3 months? Then we'll make a decision after 3 months." He looked at Du Fenghai, who was lying on the bed, and said, "Mr. Du, how about this?" Looking at the cold smile on Zhou Hao's face, Du Fenghai still had to face it with a smile. Good. This was because he lied to Yin Qingqing that he needed to rest for 3 months. Now that Zhou Hao used his lie to deal with him, he could only blame himself. When Du Yijuan, who had just come in, heard that Du Fenghai could no longer be an athlete, she immediately became excited. "Brother, what did you say? You can no longer be an athlete? There's no other way. In my current state, I can no longer be an athlete." Du Fenghai deliberately said, "I originally wanted to do something for Dad to see. I wanted him to know that it was wrong to stop me in the past. Who knew that now? Sigh, I can only blame my bad luck." He knew that the more he said that, the more Yin Qingqing would blame herself, and the more she cared about him. At that time, he would have a chance to win Yin Qingqing's heart. As expected, the disappointment and frustration on Yin Qingqing's face became even stronger. She did not dare to look at Du Yijuan at all. Regarding this, Zhou Hao's teeth itched with hatred. If it wasn't for Yin Qingqing, he was afraid that he would have torn Du Fenghai into 2 halves. After chatting with Du Fenghai for a while, Du Yijuan also said that she would come with her parents to see him tomorrow. After that, she left with Xiao Jiming and the others. After walking out of the hospital, Xiao Jiming deliberately fell a few steps behind and walked with Zhou Hao. He whispered to Zhou Hao, "Martial uncle, could it be that the person she likes is that Du Fenghai?" "No." Zhou Hao replied plainly and looked at Yin Qingqing, who was walking with Du Yijuan. He was thinking about how to deal with Du Fenghai. It was not like he would hurt Yin Qingqing's kind heart. "It's best if it isn't," Xiao Jiming said. "I saw that Du Fenghai looked energetic on the surface, but he was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. His spleen was weak, and his internal organs were weak. Clearly, he was poisoned by a chronic poison." Zhou Hao looked at Xiao Jiming in surprise. He thought to himself that Xiao family was indeed a medical family. He could tell Du Fenghai's constitution just by looking at his appearance. He heard Xiao Jiming continue, "But he doesn't seem to be poisoned. So I guess this person might have a habit of taking drugs, and the dosage is not small. If the person Qingqing likes is really him, then it will be troublesome." After leaving the hospital, when Xiangdong called, "Xiao Hao, I have already found out about that Du Fenghai. He was a native of Xiang City. 5 years ago, after graduating from high school, he went to the provincial sports center to become a track and field athlete. However, 2 years ago, he was kicked out of the provincial sports center because he was found to be a drug addict. Then, he went through Guangzhou and became a witness. He only came back to Xiang City a month ago." After listening to Wen Xiangdong's introduction, Zhou Hao finally knew that Du Fenghai really was kicked out of the provincial hospital because of drugs. It was hateful that he just said that he was removed from the team because he could not return to the team for a long time. It made Yin Qingqing think that it was him who made Du Fenghai like this. "Thank you, Uncle Wen." Zhou Hao thanked Wen Xiangdong. After driving Yin Qingqing home, Zhou Hao returned to the people's hospital and went straight to Du Fenghai's ward. He didn't knock on the door, but pushed it open. He saw Du Fenghai sitting cross-legged on the hospital bed, playing landlord with his 2 scoundrels. There was still beer and peanuts on the cabinet beside the bed, and the empty plaster set was still shaking slightly. Zhou Hao. Du Fenghai was stunned when he saw Zhou Hao suddenly appear. This time, he was caught in bed. Zhou Hao looked at Du Fenghai and the other two men who were enjoying themselves. The corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile as he said, "Humph, humph, humph. I'm having a good time. Didn't your left leg break from the impact? I think you're quite healthy." Hearing Zhou Hao's mockery, Du Fenghai quickly recovered from his shock. Instead, he spread his arms and leaned against the headboard. He smiled indifferently. "Since you have seen it, I have nothing to say." The two men next to the bed gave Zhou Hao an unfriendly look, then asked Du Fenghai, "Brother Hai, who is this guy?" "It's that cousin of Qingqing." Du Fenghai's expression was full of disdain. "He is the crown prince of Tongguang, the real rich man." "Yo, the crown prince." One of the men laughed and said, "He's quite handsome. He's King rich and handsome. He must have gotten a lot of girls." "Crown prince, since you have so much money, it doesn't matter if you give some of your brothers some money." He approached Zhou Hao and wanted to reach out and put his hand on Zhou Hao's shoulder. However, before his hand could touch Zhou Hao suddenly lifted his right leg and kicked him in the abdomen. The man was immediately kicked to the ground and fell to his knees. He was in so much pain that he kept twitching and retching. Zhou Hao looked coldly at Du Fenghai and the other man, as if he was looking at two worthless dogs. D***, how dare you attack? The other man immediately took out a spring knife from his pocket and skillfully played with it, making it shine with silver light. However, Zhou Hao knew that it was just a showcase. It was all right to scare outsiders, but it was useless to Zhou Hao. The man wanted to rush down, but was stopped by Du Fenghai. Du Fenghai stared at Zhou Hao and said, "What do you want?" Zhou Hao was a little surprised. Du Fenghai was quite sophisticated. He could still remain calm at this time. However, Zhou Hao still said coldly, "Get out of Xiang City immediately. Don't bother my cousin anymore, or else I will really break your dog leg. So what if I don't agree? If you have the guts, break my leg. This way, I can let Qingqing take care of me for the rest of my life." Du Fenghai laughed proudly. "Do you think I don't dare?" Zhou Hao narrowed his eyes. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Du Fenghai smiled and said, "If you are not afraid that I will tell Qingqing, then come." Seeing Zhou Hao's cold and murderous eyes, he subconsciously felt fear, but he still forced himself to remain calm. "What's wrong? You want to kill me? Then come. First of all, killing someone is against the law. If I die for no reason, how are you going to explain it to Qingqing?" Zhou Hao's expression changed. This Du Fenghai's mind was out of his expectation. He didn't expect Du Fenghai to see through his weakness. Zhou Hao took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. He said slowly, "Tell me, what do you want to do to stop bothering my cousin? You are just doing this for money. Name a price. I will give it to you." Du Fenghai did not say anything, but the man beside him showed a happy expression. He winked at Du Fenghai and signaled him to ask for an exorbitant price. However, Du Fenghai didn't agree with Zhou Hao. Instead, he sneered and said, "What do you think Qingqing is? Do you think she is a commodity that can be sold and sold at will? Name a price? Name a ridiculous price. I really like to be gentle. No amount of money can change my mind." Zhou Hao's eyes widened slightly. It was not because Du Fenghai was sincere to Yin Qingqing, but because Zhou Hao had seen through that this guy was not fascinated by the benefits in front of him. Du Fenghai understood that as long as he had Yin Qingqing, he could slowly get as much money as he wanted. Furthermore, he drooled over Yin Qingqing's beauty. She was willing to let go so easily. Now, he was planning to fish in the long line. He smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "You are so nervous and gentle. I'm afraid it's not as simple as you treating her as your cousin. Moreover, every time she mentions you in front of me, even her gaze will change. Humph, humph. Don't think that I don't know that the two of you definitely have a relationship." He said to himself, "But it's a pity that the two of you are cousins. This isn't the ancient times, so the two of you can't be married. Even if your mother knew, she probably wouldn't agree. Hee. So Qingqing's final choice will only be me." After giving Du Fenghai a deep look, Zhou Hao said, "All right, it's your choice. Don't blame me when the time comes." After saying that, he turned around and left without looking back. Du Fenghai's cunning had exceeded Zhou Hao's expectations. He had even seen through the ambiguous relationship between Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing. At this moment, Zhou Hao really wanted to kill Du Fenghai. He had already decided to kill this cunning drug addict. However, Zhou Hao did not intend to use martial arts to kill him. Instead, he chose a more ruthless and secretive method: poison. Zhou Hao decided to use the poison formulas in the Shinong's herbal classics he had in his hands. Among the poison formulas, many of them were huge poisons that could silently kill people. Even modern medical equipment could not detect them. Moreover, Du Fenghai was a drug addict. Even Xiao Jiming could tell that he was slowly poisoned. Therefore, Zhou Hao was confident that no one would suspect him. Therefore, he chose a poison formula that could numb people's hearts and kill them, but it was colorless and tasteless. This was because this poison was not only fatal, but also not difficult to find the ingredients. It was only a bit uncommon and could be found in some larger pharmacies. Therefore, he spent the night searching for the ingredients for this poison from the various large medicinal rooms in Xiang City. In fact, he could find all of these ingredients in the old medicinal room of Xiao Jiming's family. However, Zhou Hao didn't go to find Xiao Jiming because Du Fenghai was Du Yijuan's elder brother. If Xiao Jiming really became a couple with Du Yijuan in the future, perhaps even husband and wife, then the matter of killing Du Fenghai would inevitably become a barrier between him and Xiao Jiming. After preparing the ingredients, Zhou Hao returned home. He boiled the ingredients according to the prescription and used a filter paper to filter the clear white solution. A large pot of ingredients, and in the end, only 10 milliliters of poison was produced. The name of this poison was Mengpa soup. It meant that after drinking it, one would directly reincarnate. This Mengpa soup was extremely poisonous. Just 1 milliliter was enough to paralyze an adult's heart to death within 5 minutes, and the ingredients were very easy to obtain. If this prescription was made public, it would be the same as becoming a citizen of the United States. Every citizen would have a gun to kill. As long as this Mengpa soup was added into Du Fenghai's saline drip, then he would die without a doubt. Zhou Hao was also confident that he could do this without anyone noticing. The next day, Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing went to the hospital to visit Du Fenghai again. Coincidentally, they met Du Yijuan and her parents at the hospital entrance. Du Yijuan's father was called Du Zhan, and her mother was called Su Feng. Du Yijuan was a math teacher at a private primary school in Xiang City. She was about to retire. Su Feng, on the other hand, was a canteen worker in that private school. Both of them looked to be in their 50s. Because Xiao Jiming wanted to take care of Xiao Nanyue at home, he didn't accompany Du Yijuan to come over today. When he saw Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing, Du Zhan bowed deeply. "I'm very sorry, both of you. Uncle, don't be like this. I should be the one apologizing to you." Yin Qingqing was shocked and quickly helped Du Zhan up. However, she heard Du Zhan shake his head and sigh. "Sigh, you don't understand. It was us who let you two down." Not only Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing, even Du Yijuan and Su Feng, who were with Du Zhan, did not understand why Du Zhan would say that. However, Du Zhan didn't say anything else and just walked straight into the hospital. Du Yijuan and her daughter quickly followed after him. Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing looked at each other and followed him in. The group of people arrived at Du Fenghai's ward. When Du Fenghai saw Du Zhan and Su Feng, his expression was filled with emotion. However, before he could say anything, he heard Du Zhan say with a calm expression, "Fenghai, have you really been removed from the provincial hospital?" "Yes, you have been removed from the list." Du Fenghai's expression was very desolate. "Just because you haven't returned to the team for many days?" Du Zhan's expression was still very calm. Du Fenghai seemed to have noticed something, but he still nodded and said, "Well, the coach said that I haven't returned to the team for such a long time, and my legs have become like this. I won't be able to be an athlete in the future." As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Trump Du suddenly take a few big steps to his bed. He raised his right palm and gave him a heavy slap. At the same time, he panted and said angrily, "You be *starred. How long do you want to lie to me? 2 years ago, when you were kicked out of the provincial sport department, your coach called me. He said that the provincial sport department found out that you were taking drugs, so they kicked you out. I don't want your mother and sister to worry about me. I just didn't say it for such a long time." Du Zhan's sudden actions and words stunned everyone present, especially Su Feng and Du Yijuan. The expressions on their faces were filled with disbelief. Even Du Fenghai, who was lying on the hospital bed, was stunned by his father's beating. He didn't know how to react. However, what Zhou Hao cared about the most was Yin Qingqing. She looked at Du Fenghai in shock, her face full of astonishment. Du Zhan did not stop. He looked at Du Fenghai's left leg, which had been hung up by the plaster cast, and angrily grabbed the plaster cast. He said, "I think the injury on your leg is also a lie." Then, he pulled hard and ripped off the plaster cast. And Du Fenghai's left leg that did not have the slightest injury was also exposed in front of everyone. How? How could this be? Du Yijuan murmured. Yin Qingqing couldn't help but shake her head. Now she finally understood that everything Du Fenghai said was a lie. Actually, it was a little strange when she bumped into Du Fenghai because she saw his legs. It was not like other people had broken bones. However, after she was sent to the hospital, the doctor said that the bones inside were broken. Yin Qingqing firmly believed the doctor's words. In the past, she had never encountered anything like Pengci. She had never thought that Du Fenghai would lie to her. These days, she had always blamed herself for hurting Du Fenghai. She even thought that it was because of her that Du Fenghai's career as an athlete was interrupted. That heavy guilt almost suffocated her. But now, after seeing everything that happened before her eyes, she realized that all of this was just a scam. As for Zhou Hao, he originally wanted to use the Mingpa soup to secretly get rid of Du Fenghai, so that he wouldn't deceive and pester Yin Qingqing again. But he didn't expect that his father would expose his lie. Not to mention Zhou Hao, even Du Fenghai didn't think that the scam that he had painstakingly built up would be completely destroyed by his father. At this moment, Du Zhen turned around and bowed deeply to Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing. He said with a guilty face, "I'm really sorry, you two. This unfilial son of mine has lied to you for so long. I will return the medical expenses you paid for him as soon as possible. I'm really sorry." Only now did Zhou Hao understand why Du Zhen would suddenly apologize to him and Yin Qingqing at the hospital entrance. It turned out that he already knew Du Fenghai's lie. You lied to me?" Yin Qingqing pointed at Du Fenghai. Her face was pale, and her lips trembled. Du Fenghai, who had been able to remain calm when Zhou Hao exposed him, was no longer as calm when facing Yin Qingqing. He looked at Yin Qingqing and wanted to say something, but his lips moved. In the end, he did not say anything and lowered his head deeply. Tears immediately flowed out of his eyes and spread across Yin Qingqing's face. It wasn't that Yin Qingqing had any feelings for Du Fenghai that she had been hurt. It was that she had always treated Du Fenghai with pure sincerity and helped him make it up to him. She had never expected that Du Fenghai would lie to her from the very beginning. This was a grievance of not being able to repay a good experience and the anger of being cheated. Suddenly, Yin Qingqing covered her face and turned around to run out. Zhou Hao stared at Du Fenghai with a gloomy expression and said while gnashing his teeth, "If something happens to cousin Qingqing, I will not let you go." After saying that, he turned around and chased after her. After chasing out of the ward, Zhou Hao saw Yin Qingqing crying as she ran towards the corridor. Along the way, she even bumped into a few nurses. In fact, Zhou Hao had never exposed Du Fenghai. He was afraid that it would give Yin Qingqing too much stimulation, and she would never believe that he would help people in the future. It was precisely because of this heavy concern that Du Fenghai had the opportunity to take advantage of. Unexpectedly, it was exposed by Du Fenghai's father now. Zhou Hao secretly shook his head, thinking that since it had happened, he should face it. This was also good. It was better to have a short period of pain than a long period of pain. Yin Qingqing ran all the way to the end of the corridor and arrived at the hospital's back staircase. Zhou Hao had also caught up with her here. He grabbed Yin Qingqing's hand and called out, "Cousin Qingqing." Being pulled by Zhou Hao, Yin Qingqing could not run anymore. She turned around and saw Zhou Hao's concerned and worried face. Her tears flowed even more fiercely, because she felt guilty and blamed herself for dragging Zhou Hao into this. "Xiao Hao, I'm sorry. It's all my fault for being too stupid." Yin Qingqing choked and said, "It was because I was too stupid that I was deceived. Wuru. Aunt Yin and Aunt Ping even taught me not to believe it so easily. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid." Zhou Hao said, "Cousin Qingqing, why are you so stupid?" No, if I knew that Du Fenghai was lying, I wouldn't. Yin Qingqing's face was like a weeping flower with a rain of tears. She looked pitiful and pitiful. Seeing her like this, Zhou Hao pulled her closer to him and hugged her waist. He lowered his head and kissed Yin Qingqing's plump cherry lips. Faced with this sudden change, Yin Qingqing's entire body stiffened, and her watery eyes were filled with shock. But very quickly, her body softened, and she leaned tightly into Zhou Hao's embrace. The shock and uneasiness in her eyes turned into great happiness. This was the stairwell, and the door to the safe exit was also closed. Therefore, the people inside couldn't see this side at all. In this quiet space, there were only Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing. Zhou Hao wasn't in a hurry to pry open Yin Qingqing's teeth and attack. He just gently pressed against her cherry lips. He experienced the softness of the two of them, as well as the deep affection in each other's hearts. He felt that Yin Qingqing's lips were very soft, like cotton candy, making people forget to return. Yin Qingqing's mind was completely blank. There was only that kind of wonderful feeling that flowed through her heart like a trickling stream. After an unknown amount of time, Zhou Hao finally let go of Yin Qingqing's red lips. He saw that her cheeks were like burning clouds. This has nothing to do with you. This is not your fault. Zhou Hao very gently used his thumb to wipe away her tears. I was also deceived. Who would have thought that Du Fenghai would actually be a liar? It's none of your business. It's all because that Du Fenghai is too detestable. If you are stupid, then I will be as stupid as you. Zhou Hao's smile was like melting snow in spring, warming Yin Qingqing's heart. She heard Zhou Hao's comforting words. Seeing the sunny smile on Zhou Hao's face, Yin Qingqing felt the entire sky brighten up. At the same time, the intimacy with Zhou Hao just now made her very shy. Lowering her head deeply, she said in a low voice, Xiao Hao, you are not stupid at all. Otherwise, how could you build the Tongguang company? I really did not expect Du Fenghai to be a liar. I wanted him to work in the company. Luckily, I found out early. Yin Qingqing looked at Zhou Hao with teary eyes. Xiao Hao, why do you think people are so bad? I treated him like this. Why did he lie to me? Zhou Hao combed her hair and said, Actually, it's just a few people. Not everyone is like Du Fenghai, just a few people. Although Yin Qingqing's vigilance would increase greatly after this, Zhou Hao did not want her to lose her kind nature because of this matter. With Zhou Hao's consolation, Yin Qingqing felt much better. But after putting down the knot in her heart, the scene of the skin kiss with Zhou Hao surfaced in her mind again. That was indeed her first kiss. Xiao Hao, just now. Although she was still in Zhou Hao's arms, she still did not dare to look at Zhou Hao. She only turned her head and gave her beautiful face to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao sighed in his heart. He thought to himself that this layer of paper was finally pierced through by him. However, since he had come, it was better to be safe. Since he had already done it, there was nothing to regret. Looking at Yin Qingqing's shyness, Zhou Hao smiled and said, You mean, our kiss just now? Hearing Zhou Hao's straightforward words, Yin Qingqing's face turned even redder, almost buried her head in her chest. Yin Qingqing's uncontrollably shy and weak appearance had aroused the softness in Zhou Hao's heart. He reached out and lifted Yin Qingqing's chin, letting her face him. Yin Qingqing originally did not dare to look at him, but once she touched Zhou Hao's eyes, she could not move her eyes away anymore, as if her entire body and mind were being sucked into Zhou Hao's eyes. Zhou Hao slowly lowered his head, and Yin Qingqing couldn't help but slightly raise her head. As a result, their lips were pressed together again. This time, Zhou Hao took the offensive. He easily pried open Yin Qingqing's pearly teeth and gently hooked her little tongue out to savor it. Yin Qingqing had always been very obedient to him. At this time, she did not resist at all and handed her entire body to Zhou Hao. On the other hand, he felt at ease and enjoyed the indescribable and intoxicating feeling. He just wanted to stop time at this moment forever. By the time Zhou Hao let go of Yin Qingqing, she could not even stand stably. It was all because of Zhou Hao that she did not fall down. Her whole body was like a lump of soft mud, and she was gasping for breath like orchids. Her appearance was very attractive. Cousin Qingqing, Zhou Hao called out softly. Yin Qingqing, whose eyes were blurred, answered subconsciously. She looked up at Zhou Hao and saw Zhou Hao's eyes that could melt her heart. Cousin Qingqing, I like you. Xiao Hao likes you. Zhou Hao stared at Yin Qingqing and said slowly. After getting Zhou Hao's confession, Yin Qingqing's body became even softer. She only felt that she had no regrets in this life. When Zhou Hao held Yin Qingqing's hand and returned to Du Fenghai's ward, he saw a male doctor in his 30s in a white robe. When Du Zhan and Du Yijuan saw Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing, their faces unconsciously revealed a look of shame. After all, what Du Fenghai had done was too much. Even they, who were part of the family, wouldn't forgive him, let alone Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing, who were the direct victims. Looking at the male doctor in his 30s, Zhou Hao guessed that he might be the doctor Du Fenghai bribed to help him exaggerate his condition. Therefore, Zhou Hao said coldly, This time your hospital and Du Fenghai collaborated to cheat the medical fees. I hope you can give me a reasonable explanation. Zhou Hao was not unfamiliar with this people's hospital. The last time Yin Qingqing came here to check on her body, she met a beast doctor. She must have been fired now. The male doctor felt guilty when he saw that the matter was exposed. He quickly said to Zhou Hao, I can return all the medical expenses to you. Please don't tell the hospital, okay? However, he heard Zhou Hao snorting coldly. A person like you is not qualified to be a doctor. I will naturally take back the medical expenses, and you can't tolerate it either. He looked coldly at Du Fenghai, who was still sitting on the hospital bed. As for you, I will leave it to the police. Du Zhan and Du Yijuan's expressions changed drastically when they heard that Zhou Hao was going to call the police. Dujin immediately walked to Zhou Hao and grabbed his hand, begging him, Mr. Zhou, please don't call the police. Although Feng Hai was in the wrong, he was still my son. I can't watch him go to jail. Mr. Zhou, I beg you. I will kneel down for you. After saying that, he was about to kneel down. Zhou Hao quickly helped him up. Mr. Du, don't be like this. Du Yijuan and Su Feng also came over to help Dujin up. Dujin's body wasn't in a good condition to begin with. Now, because of this matter, he was so excited that he kept coughing. His wife Su Feng also begged Zhou Hao, Mr. Zhou, you are a magnanimous man. Please let go of our Feng Hai. He knows that he is in the wrong. Please let him go. Du Feng-hai did not come over, nor did he say anything. He just stared at Zhou Hao with hatred in his eyes. Especially when he saw Yin Qingqing holding Zhou Hao's hand, his expression became even gloomier. Zhou Hao originally really wanted to hand Du Feng-hai over to the police, but seeing Du Zhan and Su Feng begging him like this, no matter how much he hated Du Feng-hai, he could not bear to reject Du Zhan and his wife. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded and said, All right, I can stop calling the police, but he can't lie anymore in the future. Also, we don't want to see him again. He will change. He will. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. Du Zhan said hastily. Du Yijuan, who was supporting Du Zhan, didn't say anything, but she looked at Zhou Hao with gratitude. After that, Zhou Hao negotiated with the hospital to get back the medical fees that Yin Qingqing had paid Du Feng-hai. Coincidentally, the hospital director was also there. After he found out about this matter, he hated the male doctor who was bribed by Du Feng-hai to the bone. Previously, because of Yin Qingqing's matter, he had already offended Zhou Hao. He even spent a lot of effort to pacify Zhou Hao, but he did not expect that the people in his hospital would offend Zhou Hao again. Therefore, the hospital not only refunded all the medical expenses, but also compensated Zhou Hao with an additional 20,000 yuan. Although the male doctor was not fired, he was also transferred to the washing room by the hospital. After following Zhou Hao out of the hospital, there were no more tears on Yin Qingqing's face. She even seemed very lively. Because the layer of paper between the two of them had already been pierced through, this made Yin Qingqing's previous uneasiness disappear. Now that her fingers were connected to Zhou Hao's, Yin Qingqing felt that even the surrounding air also had a refreshing sweet taste. Where are we going next? Zhou Hao asked Yin Qingqing, who was beside him. I have to go back to the company, Yin Qingqing said. Her face suddenly showed some worry. Xiao Hao, if Aunt knows about us, will she object? Thinking about Yin Tong, Zhou Hao immediately felt a headache. If Zhou Hao only had Yin Qingqing as a woman, then there wouldn't be too much of a problem for Yin Tong to agree to their relationship. However, the matter of Li Ruolin had already made Yin Tong scold Zhou Hao. After a while, there was also the daughter-in-law Wang Shijuan that Yin Tong had originally decided on. If Yin Tong were to find out that there was a relationship between her and Yin Qingqing, who knew how furious she would be. Seeing Zhou Hao's frown, Yin Qingqing felt a little heartache. She really wanted to smooth his frown. Xiao Hao, how about we not let Aunt know first? Seeing Yin Qingqing's considerate expression, Zhou Hao's heart softened, and he said guiltily, Cousin, I'm sorry. Yin Qingqing shook her head slightly. It's fine. As long as I know that you like me in your heart, I will be very satisfied. She had always been a person who was easily satisfied. Being able to come out of Huayu village and live under the same roof as Zhou Hao, she was already very satisfied, even though Zhou Hao was not at home often. In fact, she didn't know when her feelings for Zhou Hao had changed from a brother-sister relationship to a relationship between a man and a woman. She still remembered the scene of Zhou Hao acting like a spoiled child to her when she was young. She still remembered the time when the two of them stole someone else's lychee and alarmed that big wolf dog. Zhou Hao looked like he was scared to tears, and at that time, she only wanted to protect her little cousin. She didn't care about that wolf dog that was almost the same size as her. She picked up a stone and scared that wolf dog away. When she was young, it was she who protected Zhou Hao. Now, it was Zhou Hao who protected her. From the time Zhou Hao dealt with Wei Quan's family and rescued her from the fire pit, she suddenly understood that Zhou Hao had grown into an adult and had become an indomitable man. Perhaps from that time onwards, she had fallen in love with Xiao Hao. Yin Qingqing secretly thought in her heart, Cousin, if you want to go back to the company, I'll send you there. Zhou Hao said, Okay. Yin Qing nodded her head and looked at Zhou Hao's handsome face. Her heart was filled with warmth. Because he did not want Yin Tong to know, Zhou Hao did not act too intimate with Yin Qingqing. However, when Zhou Hao carried Yin Qing to the company building and Yin Qingqing was about to get off the car, Zhou Hao said, Wait, cousin, have you forgotten something? Yin Qingqing looked at Zhou Hao doubtfully. She saw Zhou Hao come over and point at her face. Yin Qingqing immediately understood what Zhou Hao meant, and her cheeks turned red. However, she quickly leaned over and kissed Zhou Hao on the face. Then, she got out of the car and ran towards the commercial building as if she was running away. Zhou Hao savored Yin Qingqing's heartwarming fragrance. The corner of Zhou Hao's mouth curled up slightly. Then, he drove away in satisfaction. Although he still could not let Yin Tong know that he was with Yin Qingqing, he had now confessed his feelings to Yin Qingqing. Zhou Hao also felt very happy and satisfied. He hummed along the way back to Guanghu Villa. But the moment he opened the door, he saw Yin Tong sitting in the hall with her hands crossed, her face as still as water. "Mom, why are you still at home? Didn't you go to the company?" Zhou Hao subconsciously felt that Yin Tong was a little strange, so he asked. Yin Tong turned her head to look at Zhou Hao, but her gaze was very strict, just like how Zhou Hao had caused trouble when he was young. Zhou Hao's heart trembled, but he still smiled and walked over to sit beside Yin Tong. He pinched Yin Tong's shoulders with both hands. "Mom, why are you so angry? Who made you angry? It's still not you. Other than you, who else could it be?" Yin Tong snorted and immediately reached out to pinch Zhou Hao's ear and twisted it. "It hurts. Mom, it hurts." Zhou Hao's body could not even hit a bullet, so of course it would not hurt. But he knew that he must have done something to anger Yin Tong. So he deliberately put on an act to make Yin Tong feel pity for him. In the end, Yin Tong still felt sorry for her son. Seeing his painful expression, she relaxed her strength, but she still did not let go of Zhou Hao's ear. At the same time, she scolded, "Do you know pain now? You brat, look what you have done." "Mom, what did I do? Didn't I just come back from Hong Kong?" As Zhou Hao spoke, he kept thinking about what he had done to let Yin Tong catch him. "You still want to hide it from me, right?" Yin Tong pinched Zhou Hao's ear hard again. Zhou Hao really did not think that he had something to use against Yin Tong. So he said, "Mom, even if the government wants to sentence someone to death, they must let other people die clearly." "Okay, I will let you know." Yin Tong snorted and took out a diary book and placed it on the coffee table. "Take a look at what this is." Seeing the pink diary book on the coffee table, Zhou Hao felt very strange, but he still took it and flipped through it. However, the more he read, the weirder the expression on Zhou Hao's face became. Although the pink diary didn't have a signature, Zhou Hao could tell from the content that it was Yin Qingqing. Looking at the date, it was the third day since Yin Qingqing came to Xiang City that she started writing her diary. By now, she had already written half of it. Apart from the novelty and unfamiliarity of Yin Qingqing when she first came to Xiang City, there were also her experiences and feelings of learning from Yin Tong and Lu Shiping. Other than that, the most mentioned person in Yin Qingqing's diary was Zhou Hao. Almost every diary mentioned Zhou Hao, and even the time when Zhou Hao brought her to buy underwear, it was also mentioned. Then it was the time when Zhou Hao was not home that she missed Zhou Hao. From these diaries, Zhou Hao could feel that Yin Qingqing's feelings for him were so deep. However, when he saw the latter part, even Zhou Hao, who had experienced flowers for a long time, couldn't help but blush. Because Yin Qingqing wrote on it, "I had a dream last night and dreamt of Xiao Hao. I dreamed that he crawled under my blanket, kissed my face, kissed my mouth, kissed my chest, and even kissed my lower part. After that, I dreamt that I slept with Zhou Hao. When I woke up, I found that my underwear was wet. It was so embarrassing." Zhou Hao closed Yin Qingqing's pink diary. His face was still a little red. He wondered why Yin Qingqing had also written her spring dream in her diary. Yin Qingqing's diary mentioned sleeping with Zhou Hao. It referred to the love between men and women, but she was still relatively innocent in this aspect. The general term sleeping was just an overview. At the same time, Zhou Hao also wondered why Yin Tong had even found Yin Qingqing's diary. This way, he and Yin Qingqing did not need to hide it anymore. The relationship between the two of them could be considered to have been completely exposed under Yin Tong's eyes. He looked at Yin Tong with a strange expression and said, "Mom, why did you take out their diary book too? You have to know that this is an infringement of private privacy." Yin Tong's face froze and also looked a little unnatural. Although she had never learned the law, this matter was also very morally inappropriate. She explained, "I accidentally saw this when I was cleaning the room. Even so, Mom, you should put this diary book back to its original place. How can you secretly peek at other people's diaries?" Hearing Zhou Hao's complaints, Yin Tong also felt somewhat resentful in her heart. But she quickly reacted and immediately pinched Zhou Hao's ear. "You brat, don't change the topic. Explain to me clearly, what is going on between you and Qingqing?" What's going on? We're fine." Zhou Hao still wanted to put up a resistance. "Are you all right?" Yin Tong's tone became more obvious, If I'm fine, why would I keep mentioning you in my diary? Even in my dreams, I dream of you, and with you. Stinky brat, you better explain it clearly to me. Did you eat Ching Ching? That's what I said. Jimming was such a good boy. Why didn't Ching Ching give him a chance? So it was you who was making a fuss. Zhou quickly complained. Mom, your words are too unpleasant. What do you mean by making things difficult for her? I have been in Hong Kong for the past 2 months. I don't even know when Jimming came back. How could I make things difficult for him? Also, I didn't eat cousin Ching Ching. We're innocent. Yin Tong said. All right. Even if you did not eat Ching Ching, do you dare to say that there is nothing between the two of you? Hearing Yin Tong's words, Zhou lowered his head and said guiltily. There is indeed something, but... Before he could finish speaking, the ostrich cut him off. All right, you brat. You haven't been very old, but you've already learned how to flirt around. I've already turned a blind eye to what happened to Rulin last time. I didn't expect you to not even let go of your cousin this time. No, I cannot allow you to mess around this time. I did not mess around, Zhou explained. Besides, cousin Ching Ching isn't one of those frivolous women. How can this be considered as flirting? Of course, Ching Ching is not one of those frivolous women, but that is your cousin. You are all related by blood. Yin Tong said, if you marry, then your child may not be healthy. Secretly glancing at Yin Tong, Zhou said, don't think I don't know. Actually, Grandpa and Grandma are cousins. They also have smart grandsons like me. What are you afraid of? Yin Tong also felt stifled when she heard this. Of course, she knew that her parents were cousins, and her family did not have any innate diseases. Each and every one of them was very healthy. However, when her parents got married, the customs in Huayu village had a greater impact on the villagers. They did not oppose the marriage of cousins at all. But now, even though there was such a custom in Huayu village, the law had clearly stated that it was not feasible. She said to Zhou, you even managed to catch your breath. Your grandfather and grandmother are exceptions. Do you think you're that lucky? Actually, Zhou wasn't afraid of that. He believed that the amber fruit had changed his constitution, and even his genes had changed. It didn't mean that Zhou had become unrelated to Yin Qingqing by blood. It was because Zhou believed that there should not be any hidden diseases in his genes. So even if he had children in the future, there would not be any problems. Therefore, Zhou said to Yin Tong, Mom, you see that cousin is so beautiful and gentle. She can help you, and she is so filial to you. Don't you want to have such a good wife? People always say that fertilizer doesn't flow to outsiders, and you can't bear to have such a good wife. Do you want to push such a good wife out? Qingqing is indeed very good. Yin Tong glared at Zhou. But do you have this kind of fortune that is worthy of Qingqing? Don't forget that you not only have Ruolin, but you still haven't settled Shiju inside. Anyway, you can't follow Qingqing. Actually, she also liked Yin Qingqing very much. After all, they were a family and she had watched Yin Qingqing grow up. How could she not know Yin Qingqing's gentle and kind character? It was precisely because she loved Yin Qingqing that she introduced Jimming to Yin Qingqing. She hoped that Yin Qingqing's happiness in life would be guaranteed. When Yin Tong heard Zhou's words, she was actually a little tempted because a girl like Yin Qingqing was the daughter-in-law candidate that every mother-in-law liked. However, she knew that her son already had 2 women by his side. Just towards Wang Shijuan, Yin Tong already felt extremely guilty. Could it be that she really wanted Zhou to have 3 wives and 4 concubines? Yin Tong felt that if Yin Qingqing were to get involved, it would probably harm her for the rest of her life. Yin Tong did not want to harm Yin Qingqing because of her selfishness or even destroy her lifelong happiness. Seeing that Zhou still wanted to say something, Yin Tong said, Zhou, I'm sorry. You don't need to say anymore. You have already harmed Shijuan. I cannot let you hurt Qingqing anymore. Mom, why would I hurt them? Zhou quickly said. Then can you let them know that you are not just one woman? Yin Tong's tone was very strict. Regarding this, Zhou really did not dare to promise anything. Li Ruolin was still a little better off. However, Zhou really did not want to hurt this weak girl, Wang Shijuan. He heard Yin Tong say again, all right, put this diary book back quickly. It's in the drawer of the desk in Qingqing's room. Seeing Yin Tong so determined, Zhou could not think of anything to convince her. He could only bitterly take the diary book to Yin Qingqing's room. Regarding Yin Tong's refusal to compromise, Zhou really did not know what to do. If it was someone like Du Fenghai, if he tried to stop him and Yin Qingqing, Zhou would not hesitate to kill him. But now that it was Yin Tong, it was absolutely impossible to be ruthless. The only way was to slowly torture her, hoping that Yin Tong would agree in the end. Although Yin Tong did not agree with the two of them being together, it did not mean that Zhou Hao would give up on Yin Qingqing. This was also impossible. Zhou Hao was only thinking about how to obtain Yin Tong's recognition and allow the matter between him and Yin Qingqing to happen. Now he was sitting in Yin Qingqing's room and was about to put the pink diary back into the drawer. But when he remembered that he had not finished reading the contents, his heart felt like a cat's paw. I just said that Mom shouldn't have peeked at other people's diaries. How can I do that now? But then he thought, since I've already read it, I'll continue reading it. I'll just treat it as getting to know cousin Qingqing. And so, Zhou Hao couldn't help but flip it open again. After the diary that described Chunming, there were still more than 10 pages. Zhou Hao kept reading and found that Yin Qingqing wrote about her daily life experiences and her longing for Zhou Hao. Furthermore, Yin Qingqing also expected Yin Tong to disagree with their relationship. However, Yin Qingqing herself did not think of any good ideas. Her troubles were also written in her diary. Suddenly, Zhou Hao saw the last diary and could not help frowning because the first sentence at the beginning of the diary was, "Actually, I know about Xiao Hao and Shijuan. Shijuan often tell me about Xiao Hao's good deeds. Actually, how could I not know about Xiao Hao's good deeds? I also like Xiao Hao, but I didn't tell Shijuan or even Xiao Hao that I didn't want to ruin their relationship. I think I just need to secretly like Xiao Hao. Just treat it as the deepest secret in my heart." In fact, Zhou Hao had also guessed that Yin Qingqing would know about the matter between him and Wang Shijuan. With Wang Shijuan's close relationship with Yin Qingqing, they were practically living together. Wang Shijuan already treated Yin Qingqing as her elder sister, so naturally she would tell Yin Qingqing about the matter between her and Zhou Hao. The last time Zhou Hao and Wang Shijuan were in the sky garden on the rooftop, the gaze that they had found secretly staring at her belonged to Yin Qingqing. Seeing Yin Qingqing secretly like him in her diary, Zhou Hao felt pity for her in his heart. Zhou Hao said to himself in his heart, "What a good girl. I can't let her down." At the same time, after the lie was exposed, Du Fenghai left the People's Hospital with Du Jun and the others. Initially, the hospital wanted to hold Du Fenghai accountable, but Zhou Hao said he would let him go, so they could not hold him accountable anymore. They just kicked Du Fenghai out of the hospital. "You be ****, come back with me. I will send you to the drug rehabilitation center to give you a checkup." Du Jun held Du Fenghai's hand and shouted. Du Yijuan, who was beside him, also said, "Brother, how did you become like this? Zhou Hao and Miss Yin are good people. How can you lie to them like this?" Previously, she wanted to talk to Du Fenghai, but was rejected by Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao's words faintly indicated that Du Fenghai was not a good person. Thinking about it now, Du Yijuan guessed that Zhou Hao might have known about this from the very beginning. However, she saw Du Fenghai shake off Du Jun's hand. "Is Zhou Hao a good person? He doesn't have good intentions at all. I think he told you about me. I knew it was him. He also likes to be gentle. That's why he treats me this way." Du Yijuan was also shocked when she heard this. "What? Aren't they cousins?" "Humph. So what if they are cousins? If they are not biological siblings, I think they already have a relationship." Du Fenghai said. Du Jun sneered and said, "What does it have to do with you whether they have a relationship or not? You lied to them, and if they don't pursue it, then you are lucky, but you still care about this? Quickly follow me to the drug rehabilitation center, or else you'll never be able to enter our Du family's door." As he spoke, he was going to pull Du Fenghai again. "If you don't want to enter, then don't. Do you think I care?" Without waiting for Du Jun to grab his hand, Du Fenghai pushed him over and pushed Du Jun onto the ground. Su Feng and Du Yijuan quickly supported Du Jun. Du Yijuan angrily said to Du Fenghai, "Brother, how can you be like this?" Du Fenghai twitched his mouth. "It's all your fault. You ruined my business." After saying that, he ignored Du Jun and the others and left alone. Unfilial son. Truly unfilial son. Du Genuine Aura, who was sitting on the ground, coughed repeatedly. "I'll pretend that I never gave birth to this son." Even Du Yijuan, who was sitting beside him, looked at Du Fenghai's back with disappointment and anger. After leaving the hospital, Du Fenghai went to the rented house of his two friends, Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang. When Du Fenghai arrived, the two of them were injecting themselves with drugs. The expression on their faces was very comfortable and carefree. Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang were surprised to see Du Fenghai. "Brother Hai, aren't you in the hospital? Why did you come out? Aren't you afraid that Yin Qingqing will find out?" Du Fenghai's eyes turned cold when he mentioned Yin Qingqing. He waved his hand and said, "Don't mention it. All of our efforts have been in vain." Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang were still hoping that Du Fenghai would be able to help them after he got close to Yin Qingqing. When they heard Du Fenghai's words, they were also shocked. They hurriedly asked, Brother Hai, what happened? It's all that Zhou Hao's fault. I wonder if he told my dad about me being kicked out of the provincial hospital. Du Fenghai said angrily. My dad came to the hospital to see me today and exposed me in front of Qingqing. Fei Yun asked tentatively, Brother Hai, you and Yin Qingqing. Du Fenghai waved his hand. It's over. I have already turned money into water. He opened the fridge and took out a bottle of beer. He raised his head and drank it. Zhang Song and Fei Yunfang looked at each other. Zhang Song said to Du Fenghai, Brother Hai, is there really no way to save it? Du Fenghai breathed out the anger in his stomach. There's no way to save her. The person Qingqing likes is that Zhou Hao. Now that she knows I lied to her, I have no chance anymore. After saying that, he raised his head and drank another big mouthful of wine. The expression on his face was also filled with loneliness. Zhang Song and Fei Yunfang could see that Du Fenghai had probably fallen in love with Yin Qingqing. Brother Hai, do you still remember that girl, Yinzi? Zhang Song suddenly said. Yinzi? Du Fenghai was stunned.
Yes.
Fei Yunfang quickly said, it's the bear that sold the goods to our black bear. When the black bear chased after the swallow, didn't the swallow also die with the black bear? Moreover, it already has its own fiancé. But the black bear is also very sinister. He caught the swallow and gave her an injection of number 4. From then on, the swallow had been extremely obedient to the black bear. She doesn't even want her fiancé anymore. The black bear wants her to head east, so she definitely won't head west. Du Fenghai frowned. You mean you want me to use white powder to control lightly? Then he shook his head. No, Qingqing is a good girl. You can't harm her like this. Fei Yunfang immediately said, Brother Hai, how can you say that you are harming her? You are giving her happiness. Besides, are you willing to watch her and that Zhou Hao sleep together? Hearing Fei Yunfang's words, the expression in Du Fenghai's eyes flickered, and he clenched his fists tightly. Suddenly, a resolute expression appeared on his face, and he gritted his teeth. All right, even if I want to bring her to hell with me, I don't want her to be with that Zhou Hao. He said to Zhang Song and Fei Yunfang, then you guys can help. Go to Black Bear and get some goods. Tell him not to get mixed up. I want something purer. Fei Yunfang said, we've already borrowed money from Black Bear twice. I'm afraid he won't agree so easily this time. But for Brother Hai, even if we lick Black Bear's ass, we still have to get the goods back. Good. You're indeed my good brother. Du Fenghai patted Zhang Song and Fei Yunfang's shoulders. After this matter is settled, I will definitely not forget your benefits. Hearing Du Fenghai's words, Zhang Song and Fei Yunfang looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. In the office of the Tongguang Food Company, Yin Qingqing packed the documents on her desk and went to Lu Shiping's office. She said to her, Aunt Ping, it's already noon. Let's go back first. Lu Shiping was still there reading the documents and said, I'll be there in a while. Qing, you go downstairs to get the car first.
Yes.
Yin Qingqing nodded and left the office. She took the elevator to the parking lot to get the car. She looked at her watch. It was 11:45 p.m. Normally, she would not leave the company unless it was 12 o'clock. But after being separated from Zhou Hao for the whole morning, she missed Zhou Hao very much. She could not wait to go back and see him. When Zhou Hao's handsome face appeared in her mind, Yin Qingqing felt a sweetness in her heart. She just wanted to return home as soon as possible. When she arrived at the parking lot, Yin Qingqing went straight to the side of the black Mercedes-Benz. She opened the door of the driver's seat and wanted to enter. A figure suddenly rushed out from the side and grabbed the door to prevent Yin Qingqing from entering. Yin Qingqing raised her head to look and her brows furrowed. It's you? What are you doing here? This person was Du Fenghai. When he saw Yin Qingqing, he had thousands of things he wanted to say to her. Qingqing, I. However, Yin Qingqing stepped back a little and looked at Du Fenghai vigilantly. What do you want to do? Hurry up and leave. I don't want to see you again. Qingqing, I know you are angry that I lied to you. But I didn't mean to lie to you. Du Fenghai grabbed Yin Qingqing's arm. I just didn't want you to leave me so quickly. I really didn't mean to lie to you. What do you want? Let go of me. I'm going to call people. Yin Qingqing was grabbed by Du Fenghai and immediately struggled. Fei Yunfang walked out from behind and opened the back door of the Mercedes-Benz. He pulled Yin Qingqing to the back seat and pushed Du Fenghai into the driver's seat. He shouted, Brother Hai, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and leave. You're still waiting for someone to catch you. Du Fenghai also reacted and immediately started the car. Fei Yunfang sat in the back seat and covered Yin Qingqing's mouth to prevent her from calling for help. Frightened, Yin Qingqing could not help twisting her body and struggling. Fei Yunfang roared in a low voice, "Don't move. If you move again, I will rape you. I can say it." Hearing Fei Yunfang's words, Yin Qingqing immediately stopped moving. Her beautiful eyes were completely covered with fear. Du Fenghai, who was in front of her, frowned and said, "Old Fei, don't scare her." Fei Yunfang nodded and smiled at Yin Qingqing. "You see, our brother Hai is so considerate of you. He is more considerate than you. Isn't he much better? I think you have been blinded by a ghost. That's why you chose that Zhou Hao instead of our brother Hai." After Du Fenghai kidnapped Yin Qingqing, he quickly drove the car out of the commercial building. A few minutes later, Lu Shiping also came to the parking lot. However, she did not see any traces of Yin Qingqing and the car. She muttered, "Huh? Where's Qingqing?" Zhou Hao, who was at home, suddenly felt a sense of alarm in his heart. Yin Qingqing's face flashed in his heart. He was shocked. Could it be that something happened to cousin Qingqing? He knew that his intuition would not appear for no reason, and it was incomparably accurate. At this moment, the phone rang and Yin Tong picked up the phone. "Hello, Shiping, what?" "No, Qingqing is not back yet. Isn't she with you?" Zhou Hao immediately asked Yin Tong, "Mom, did something happen to cousin Qingqing?" "Something happened? No, I don't think so." Yin Tong said, "Shiping only said that Qingqing left the company. I don't know if she came back first." When Zhou Hao heard this, he was even more certain that something had happened to Yin Qingqing. But he did not want Yin Tong and Lu Shiping to worry, so he said, "Mom, I will go out for a while. I will be back soon." After saying that, he did not wait for Yin Tong to agree and left in a hurry. When he arrived at the parking lot, Zhou Hao immediately started his Audi and dialed Yin Qingqing's hand phone. However, the phone rang with the sound of Yin Qingqing's mobile phone being turned off. D***. Zhou Hao was so angry that he wanted to throw his phone away, but after thinking about it, he calmed down. Even without his super strong intuition, Zhou Hao could basically guess that Yin Qingqing's disappearance must have something to do with Du Fenghai. So he immediately dialed Du Yijuan's number. "Is your brother home?" "He's not home. What's wrong?" Du Yijuan was very puzzled as to why Zhou Hao would look for her brother. Zhou Hao didn't say much to Du Yijuan. He immediately dialed Wen Xiangdong's number. "Hello, Uncle Wan. Do you know where Du Fenghai lives in Xiang City?" "Right. He still has 2 friends. Can you help me find out where their kennel is?" "Thank you." At the same time, Zhou Hao also used his intuition to search for Yin Qingqing's location, just like when he was searching for Liang Xiaobing in Hong Kong. At this time, Yin Qingqing had already been caught by Du Fenghai in the rented house of Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang. She was tied to a chair, and even her mouth was sealed by a box of glue. Looking at the terrified and angry Yin Qingqing, Du Fenghai said, "Qingqing, I won't hurt you. I never thought of hurting you. I just want you to try what true happiness is." He said to Jiang Song, "What about that thing?" Jiang Song took a syringe over and said, "Brother Hai, it's ready." "Xiao Hao, we have found out that Du Fenghai's 2 friends are called Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang. The 3 of them are staying in a rented house on Yellowstone Street in Xiang City." On the phone, when Xiangdong told Zhou Hao where Du Fenghai and the others lived, Zhou Hao said, "Thank you, Uncle Wan." After hanging up the phone, he muttered to himself, "Yellowstone Street." His intuition told him that Yin Qingqing was indeed in that direction. He suddenly stepped on the accelerator and the Mercedes-Benz engine roared. He rushed forward like a ferocious beast. In the rented house on Yellowstone Street, Yin Qingqing, whose hands and feet were tied up, saw Du Fenghai walking towards her with the syringe that contained the transparent liquid. Her face was full of panic, and she kept shaking her head and making woo-woo sounds. "Don't be afraid, gently. This is the source of happiness. You will soon fall in love with it," Du Fenghai said and came to Yin Qingqing's side. He rolled up the sleeves of her left hand and revealed a piece of snow-white flawless skin. Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang looked at Yin Qingqing. Fei Yunfang said to Jiang Song, "Squirrel, Brother Hai's girl is really beautiful. I was in the car just now. If Hagrid wasn't here, I would have been afraid that I wouldn't be able to hold it in and shot her." Jiang Song's gaze was also tightly locked onto Yin Qingqing. That's right. The***. Look at this girl. She's much more beautiful than the swallow of the black bear. In the past, I thought that Swallow was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I even envied Black Bear's luck with women. Now, it seems that our brother Hai's luck with women is much better than Black Bear's. At this time, Du Fenghai had already inserted the needle into Yin Qingqing's smooth arm. Woo! Yin Qingqing felt a pain in her hand, and a cold liquid slowly entered her body. She could almost feel the evil in the liquid. Her body kept twisting as if she wanted to throw the liquid out of her body. However, after a few intense movements, she felt that her body was slowly losing strength. Even her vision gradually blurred, as if the scenery around her was spiraling up and down, constantly changing shape and distorting. Seeing Yin Qingqing's face gradually becoming confused, Du Fenghai said with a smile, "Qingqing, isn't it very comfortable? Is it very happy? I told you would like this feeling." He carefully tore open the box on Yin Qingqing's mouth. Yin Qingqing felt dizzy. Her whole body was so light that she could not use any strength. Du Fenghai's voice also seemed to come from a very far place. It was very ethereal. "How? Xiao Hao, quickly come and save me." In a daze, she said, "Zhou Hao." After Du Fenghai heard Yin Qingqing calling out to Zhou Hao, his entire face became very ugly. The muscles at the corner of his mouth kept twitching, and his eyes were also glowing red. He looked very ferocious. "Xiao Hao, save me." Yin Qingqing's eyes were blurred, and her lips were open as she said, "Pa." Du Fenghai couldn't help but slap Yin Qingqing's face. Instantly, the corner of her mouth was broken, and traces of blood flowed out. However, Yin Qingqing's body and mind were being corroded by that evil heroine, and the pain was reduced by a lot. Du Fenghai grabbed her shoulder tightly and shouted, "You still think of Zhou Hao at this point in time? He won't come to save you. Did you hear that? He won't come to save you. You are mine. No one can snatch you away from me." Yin Qingqing turned her head and said in a very soft voice, "No, Xiao Hao will come and save me." Du Fenghai saw that although Yin Qingqing's half-opened and half-closed eyes were gradually losing consciousness, there was also a sense of firmness in them. She firmly believed that Zhou Hao would come and save her. Du Fenghai roared madly, "You are mine. You are mine. Fine, since you said Zhou Hao would come and save you. I will see if he will still want you after seeing you being raped and turned into a broken shoe." After saying that, he grabbed the collar of Yin Qingqing's suit jacket and suddenly grabbed it. He pulled it to the side. "Pada!" Yin Qingqing's suit jacket's button immediately popped out, revealing her white collar shirt, as well as her slender neck and flawless skin. Seeing the snow-white skin under Yin Qingqing's neck, Du Fenghai's throat rolled, and his eyes shot out traces of lascivious light. He said with a dry voice, "Old Fei Squirrel, come back after I'm done. I want to see when she becomes a pair of shoes for thousands of people to sleep on. Will that Zhou Hao still want her?" Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang, who were behind them, immediately revealed a look of ecstasy when they heard this. They naturally coveted a woman like Yin Qingqing. However, they didn't dare to do anything in front of Du Fenghai. Now that they had heard what Du Fenghai said and knew that they had a chance to taste this beautiful woman, they couldn't help but feel pleasantly surprised. Just as Du Fenghai grabbed Yin Qingqing's white shirt collar and wanted to pull it off as well, the door of the house flew up and a figure appeared at the door. It was Zhou Hao. "Zhou Hao." Du Fenghai looked at Zhou Hao in shock. Zhou Hao, who was at the door, saw Yin Qingqing tied to a chair. There was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth, and her suit jacket was ripped off. Du Fenghai's hand was still holding onto the collar of her shirt. Obviously, he wanted to tear off her shirt as well. A wave of evil fire immediately spread from Zhou Hao's heart, burning his entire soul in an instant. He let out a loud roar, and before Du Fenghai and the other two could react, he had already flashed in front of Du Fenghai from the other side of the door. Without saying another word, Zhou Hao gave Du Fenghai a left hook. Zhou Hao's left hook was stronger than those world-class heavyweight boxing champions. Du Fenghai was immediately sent flying and crashed into the wall of the rented house. His face was badly mutilated, and his entire chin had been shattered by Zhou Hao's punch. "Cousin." Lightly, Zhou Hao easily pulled the rope from Yin Qingqing's hands and feet and hugged her, who was unconscious and weak. Yin Qingqing opened her eyes slightly. When she saw Zhou Hao, a faint smile appeared on her face. "Xiao Hao, you are finally here." Qingqing, what happened to you?" Zhou Hao saw that Yin Qingqing seemed to have lost her 3 souls and 7 souls. His heart tightened, and he saw an empty syringe on the ground. Just as he was about to ask, he saw Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang trying to escape while he was focusing all his attention on Yin Qingqing. "You think you can escape?" Zhou Hao snorted coldly and pointed his hands forward. Immediately, he sealed Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang's acupuncture points in the air, preventing them from moving. Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang realized that they couldn't move their bodies all of a sudden. They couldn't help but feel shocked and thought that they had been possessed. At this moment, Zhou Hao gently put down Yin Qing and instantly arrived in front of Jiang Song. He held Jiang Song's neck with one hand and asked in a cold voice, "Tell me, what needles did you give her?" Jiang Song immediately asked when he saw Zhou Hao's ferocious expression and felt the cold killing intent that was released from Zhou Hao's body. It's number 4. Brother Hai called her number 4. He wants to control her. Zhou Hao frowned. What's number 4? It's number 4 heroin. Jiang Song said in a trembling voice. Zhou Hao glared at him. What? You guys gave her heroin. In his fury, Zhou Hao no longer restrained his strength. The hand that was pinching Jiang Song's neck suddenly tightened. Jiang Song didn't even have the time to scream before his entire neck was pinched into thin silk by Zhou Hao. Under this huge pressure, Jiang Song's eyeballs popped out. His tongue and the trachea behind him were also spat out from his mouth, and blood kept spurting out from his mouth, nose, and ears. After Zhou Hao let go of his hand, Jiang Song's head and body were only left with 2 or 3 pieces of flesh connected to each other. Fei Yunfang, who was also hit on the acupuncture point, saw how Jiang Song died in such a bloody and tragic way. He was so scared that he even peed his pants. He wanted to run away, but his body could not move a finger. Zhou Hao did not pay attention to him for the time being. He walked to Yin Qingqing's side once again, because he had been injected with a high-purity number 4 heroin. Yin Qingqing had already fallen into a light coma. She did not see the scene of Jiang Song's tragic death. Zhou Hao knew that if an ordinary person was injected with a high-purity number 4 heroin, not only would he not be addicted to it, he might even die from poisoning. He immediately took out a pill from his pocket. It was the antidote pill that he made with his own blood when he was in Hong Kong. He stuffed the antidote pill into Yin Qingqing's mouth and found a cup of water for her to swallow. He poured his genuine aura into Yin Qingqing's body to help her absorb and digest the medicinal properties of the antidote pill. Zhou Hao's blood could cure hundreds of poisons, and this number 4 heroin was no exception. Not long after, although she had fallen into a coma and had yet to wake up, Zhou Hao cut her pulse and knew that she was fine. However, even if Yin Qingqing was out of danger, Zhou Hao was still afraid that she would be addicted to heroin. After all, although his blood could cure the poison, he did not know if he could get rid of this addiction. Thinking that Du Fenghai and Fei Yunfang wanted to use drugs to control Yin Qingqing and wanted to rape her just now, the anger in Zhou Hao's heart did not subside but rose instead. He carefully placed Yin Qingqing on the wooden sofa over there and laid down. Then, he came in front of Fei Yunfang, who had his acupuncture point pointed. Seeing the murderous look in Zhou Hao's eyes, Fei Yunfang trembled in fear. He gritted his teeth and fought. Zhou Hao's voice was like the cold wind in winter. Dragons have reverse scales. If you touch them, you will die. In fact, Zhou Hao didn't seal Jiang Song's mute acupoint, but when faced with Zhou Hao's killing intent, it was as if it had materialized. Jiang Song couldn't even utter a single word. He could only let out a gurgling sound from his throat. It sounded like he was afraid of death. Zhou Hao squatted down and grabbed both of Jiang Song's ankles. With a strong pull, Jiang Song fell down. Zhou Hao grabbed Jiang Song's ankles tightly and threw him to the wall beside him. Jiang Song, who weighed more than 100 kilograms, was as weightless as a paper doll in Zhou Hao's hands. His whole body crashed into the wall. Pa! The sound of flesh hitting the wall resounded throughout the entire rented house. Under Zhou Hao's immense strength, the entire house shook. A large part of the outer wall had fallen off, and Jiang Song also felt as if all the bones in his body had been shattered. It was as if he was being sawed by a knife. At this moment, he wished that he could faint, but the pain from the bones all over his body made him even more conscious. He also felt that Zhou Hao was still grabbing his ankle and raising it up. Obviously, he wanted to throw him onto the ground. Don't. Jiang Song had just managed to say this word when he was thrown up like a cotton blanket by Zhou Hao. After that, Zhou Hao threw himself onto the ground. Jiang Song's back hit the ground. He only felt a loud rumbling sound in his mind before his vision turned black and he completely lost consciousness. Looking at Jiang Song, who had fallen to the ground, and his entire head exploded from the impact, Zhou Hao finally let go of his ankle. He turned around and walked towards Du Fenghai, who was leaning against the corner of the wall, unable to get up. Du Fenghai had been sent flying by Zhou Hao's punch and hit the wall. All the bones in his body seemed to have been broken. He couldn't get up at all, and his mandibles had been completely broken by Zhou Hao. He couldn't make a sound. Seeing his 2 friends die one after another under Zhou Hao's hands, Du Fenghai's eyes widened in fear. Looking at Zhou Hao, who was getting closer and closer to him, he felt like a devil that had just climbed out of hell. Zhou Hao walked up to him, reached out his hand and grabbed Du Fenghai's collar, lifting him up. He stared at Du Fenghai face to face, and Zhou Hao's voice was extremely cold. It made people's scalps tingle. For your dad's sake, I've already given you a chance, but you don't know how to cherish it. and you actually treat my gentleness like this. Looking at the fear in Du Fenghai's eyes, Zhou Hao sneered and said, but don't worry, I won't kill you. If I kill you just like that, it will be too easy for you. He forcefully threw Du Fenghai onto the ground, causing him to suffer internal injuries on the spot. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get up. Zhou Hao slowly lifted his right foot and stomped on Du Fenghai's left knee. The rented house shook again. Zhou Hao's right foot stepped on the floor and left a deep bloody footprint. Du Fenghai's left foot seemed to have been crushed by a wheel. His knee was flat, and his leg and calf were completely separated. Wurudash! Du Fenghai's lower jaw was broken, and he could only scream like a dog barking. His eyes were wide open, and tears kept flowing out. Zhou Hao showed no mercy to him. He raised his right foot and stomped on his right knee. Woo! The ground shook again, and Du Fenghai's right knee was flattened by Zhou Hao. This kind of bone-piercing pain caused Du Fenghai's body to continuously twitch. In order to prevent him from fainting from the pain, Zhou Hao even gave him a sliver of genuine aura to keep his mind clear. Both of Du Fenghai's legs were crippled. His face was pale, without a trace of blood, and his forehead was covered with a thick layer of sweat. However, Zhou Hao had no intention of letting him go. He grabbed Du Fenghai's shoulders with both hands. His 10 fingers slowly tightened. The sound of bones cracking could be heard continuously. His shoulder blade was actually completely crushed by Zhou Hao just like that. Kiki! Kiki! Du Fenghai's throat made a sound of despair. He lay on the ground dejectedly. His shoulder blade was broken, and his arms were completely crippled. With his legs, he could only crawl on the ground like a snake. Looking at the miserable Du Fenghai, the anger in Zhou Hao's heart finally calmed down. He turned around and looked at Yin Qingqing. Seeing that she was still unconscious and had not woken up, Zhou Hao felt a trace of relief in his heart. Fortunately, Yin Qingqing did not see this kind of tragic situation. Otherwise, he did not know if she would feel fear towards him. Looking around, he saw that the rented house was filled with bloodstains and a mess. Zhou Hao took a deep breath and took out his phone to call Wen Xiangdong. Uncle Wen, do you have a way to get number 4 heroin? Not much, 50 grams is enough. How about this? Get someone to bring it over to Yellowstone Street. It's in Du Fenghai's rented house. I'll wait here. Du Fenghai, who was lying on the ground and unable to move, understood that Zhou Hao was trying to frame him. But now, he did not care. Tears kept flowing out of his eyes, and his face fell to the ground. Not long after, a man arrived at the rented house. He was the subordinate Wen Xiangdong had sent to deliver heroin to Zhou Hao. This man had worked under Wen Xiangdong for many years and could be considered to have seen bloodshed. However, the moment he arrived at the door, he was frightened by the bloody scene inside that resembled an Azura slaughterhouse. His entire body trembled as he continuously retreated. Don't be afraid. These are all D*MN people. Zhou Hao walked out of the room. The blood on his hands had been washed clean. Seeing Zhou Hao, the man knew that he was the one who killed those people. The young and handsome man in front of him was actually so cruel. It made this man who had been in the underworld for more than 10 years feel a chill in his heart. He forcefully suppressed the fear in his heart and said with a hoarse voice, You are Mr. Zhou?
Yes.
Zhou Hao nodded his head. Uncle Wen sent you here, right? Where are the things I asked for? The man took out a bag of white powder from his bag and handed it to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao held the bag of white powder and knew that it was heroin number 4. The purity was very high. He said, Thank you. When you go back, tell Uncle Wen that I will return the money for the heroin to him. All right, the police will be here in a while. Hurry up and leave. Then, I will leave first, Mr. Zhou. After saying that, the man immediately left. Zhou Hao took the bag of heroin back into the room and found a handkerchief to wipe off the fingerprints he left on the heroin. Then, he casually placed the heroin in an iron jar in the room. Then, he dialed Situ Li's number and asked him to send the police and ambulance over. The police and ambulance arrived very quickly. When the police saw the situation in the rented house, they were shocked. These police officers who had many years of experience in criminal investigation were also shocked by the death of Jiang Song and Fei Yunfang. They looked at Zhou Hao with a deep fear in their eyes. Zhou Hao picked Yin Qingqing up and said to the police officers in a flat tone, These people kidnapped my family and forced my family to be injected with drugs. You can search this place. There should be more drugs. After saying that, he carried Yin Qingqing, who had not woken up yet, and walked to the ambulance downstairs. Yin Qingqing was quickly sent to the hospital and Yin Tong and Lu Shiping also received the news and rushed over. As Wang Shijuan was going to Hong Kong with Zhou Hao in a few days, She took advantage of this time to go back to her grandfather and grandmother to visit the old man. At the same time, she would tell the old man that she had profited from the middle school examination, so Wang Shijuan was not in Xiang City at the moment. When Yin Tong and Lu Shiping rushed over, the doctors were giving Yin Qingqing a checkup, and Zhou Hao was also accompanying her in the ward. What's wrong? Is Qingqing all right? Yin Tong and Lu Shiping asked nervously. She should be fine. Zhou Hao's expression was also very worried. Xiao Hao, what happened? How did it become like this? Yin Tong asked. Zhou Hao told her about Du Fenghai kidnapping Yin Qingqing and injecting her with drugs. Yin Tong was usually a good-tempered person. However, when she heard that Du Fenghai had caused her niece to become like this, she could not help but gnash her teeth in anger. At this moment, the female doctor who had given Yin Qingqing a checkup said, "The patient is fine now." "Sir, you said that the patient was injected with heroin, but we didn't find any drugs in the patient's body." Zhou Hao replied, "Because I have already cured her of the poison. Doctor, what I am most concerned about, will she develop a mental addiction?" What he was most worried about was that after helping Yin Qingqing remove the heroin poison, she would be the same as those people who came out of the drug rehabilitation center. Physical addiction was removed, but mental addiction was not removed. In the future, she would return to the embrace of drugs again and again. If the injection is forced and the detoxification is immediately done, the patient will not have enough time to develop a mental addiction. The female doctor said, "But we can't be absolutely sure. I suggest we let the patient stay in the hospital for observation." "Okay, that's it." Zhou Hao nodded. "How? Xiao Hao. Xiao Hao." At this moment, Yin Qingqing's weak voice was heard. Zhou Hao, Yin Tong and the rest immediately walked to the hospital bed and saw that Yin Qingqing was still not awake. However, it seemed like she was having a nightmare as she kept calling Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao quickly grabbed Yin Qingqing's hand and said gently to her, "Cousin Qingqing, I am here. Xiao Hao is here." As if she felt Zhou Hao by her side, Yin Qingqing's face returned to calm. The corner of her mouth revealed a slight smile, appearing very serene. Seeing this scene, Lu Shiping only thought that Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing only had deep affection for each other. Yin Tong, who knew the inside story, knew that their relationship was mutual and she could not help but hesitate in her heart. Could it be that I really should not let them separate? "Doctor, when will my cousin wake up?" Zhou Hao asked the female doctor. The female doctor answered, "She was just frightened. Her body is fine. I believe she will wake up soon. You do not need to worry." She looked at Zhou Hao and Yin Tong and said, "By the way, if it is convenient, you can pay the medical and inpatient fees first. If you don't have that much cash, you can pay some first." "I'll go," Lu Shiping said, and left the ward with the female doctor. Zhou Hao sat on the chair beside the bed and put Yin Qingqing's hand on his palm. At the same time, he felt Yin Qingqing's hand unconsciously grabbing him. Seeing Yin Qingqing's serene face, Zhou Hao felt pity in his heart. He could not help but reach out his hand and gently stroke her face with the back of his hand. Yin Qingqing's long and delicate eyelashes trembled slightly before she slowly opened her eyes. When Zhou Hao saw this, he excitedly said, "Cousin Qingqing, you're awake?" Yin Qingqing opened her hazy eyes and saw Zhou Hao's handsome facial features appear in front of her. She couldn't help but feel pleasantly surprised and at the same time felt a deep sense of security. She smiled, revealing two pitiful dimples. "Xiao Hao, it's really you. You came to save me? Am I dreaming?" Zhou Hao quickly shook his head. "No, you are not dreaming. Xiao Hao really came." Yin Qingqing wanted to raise her hand to touch Zhou Hao, but she felt powerless. Zhou Hao saw that her eyebrows were slightly knitted, and he felt his heart ache. He immediately grabbed her hand and put it on his face. Only then did Yin Qingqing's brows relax. Her nose was sour, and she said with a sobbing smile, "I knew you would come. I knew Xiao Hao would come. I always believed that. Cousin, don't worry. Xiao Hao will protect you for the rest of your life." Zhou Hao also smiled. Hearing Zhou Hao's solemn promise, Yin Qingqing felt that her entire heart was filled with happiness. Her fingers gently traced Zhou Hao's resolute face. Her gaze was like water as she said, "Let me take a good look at you. Take a look, take a look. I'm willing to look at you for the rest of my life." Zhou Hao said with a smile. He grabbed her hand and kissed the back of her hand. Cough, cough. Suddenly, a light cough shook Zhou Hao and the two men. "Oh no, I forgot that Mom is still here." Zhou Hao also woke up at this time. Not to mention Yin Qingqing who just woke up. Even he had focused all of his attention on Yin Qingqing just now. He had forgotten that his mother, Yin Tong, was still in the ward. At this time, Yin Qingqing who was on the bed also saw Yin Tong who was standing there. Her face was shocked and she said haltingly, "Aunt?" She wanted to pull back the hand that was grabbed by Zhou Hao, but Zhou Hao tightened his grip and did not let go. Sigh. Yin Tong sighed slightly. She had just seen the situation of the two lovers' hearts sticking together. Even though she was a stone-hearted person, she could not bear to tear them apart. Furthermore, she was not that kind of person. "Mom, I am sorry." Zhou Hao faced Yin Tong, but he lowered his head, like a child who had done something wrong. However, there was a look of determination on his face, as if he was brave enough to admit his mistake and take responsibility. Yin Tong said gently, "You have been very stubborn since you were young. You are exactly the same as your father." Suddenly she remembered that Zhou Hao did not like to talk about her father. She said again, "Now you are like this. What should we do?" What she meant was that Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing were like this. How should they deal with Li Ruolin and Wang Shijuan? Seeing Yin Tong blaming Zhou Hao, Yin Qingqing wanted to sit up and defend Zhou Hao at the same time. "Aunt, it has nothing to do with Xiao Hao. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. He seduced Xiao Hao. Aunt, don't blame him." When she said the word seduced, she pursed her lower lips tightly, as if that was an outrageous act. Yin Tong could not help but laugh and scold. "You lass really do not know shame to even say seduction? Aunt, Yin Qingqing lowered her head. Her face was full of guilt. Zhou Hao sat on the edge of the bed and supported Yin Qingqing. He frowned and said to Yin Tong, "Mom, cousin just woke up. Don't blame her like this. It's still not you, brat. Otherwise, why would Qingqing and I need to do this?" Yin Tong glared at him. "Aunt, it's not Xiao Hao's fault." Yin Tong shook her head. "Sigh. I wonder what kind of drug this brat gave you to make you protect him." She looked at Yin Qingqing and said seriously, "Qingqing, if you are with this brat, you will suffer. You have to think clearly. This is something that will happen for the rest of your life." Yin Tong felt that Yin Tong's words seemed to be agreeing with her and Zhou Hao's matter. She was pleasantly surprised in her heart. At the same time, she nodded and said softly, "I am not afraid, as long as Xiao Hao has me in his heart. I don't need my name." "What?" Yin Tong looked at Yin Qingqing in shock. Even Zhou Hao was stunned. He did not expect Yin Qingqing to give up such an important thing for him. He heard Yin Tong ask Yin Qingqing again, "Qingqing, do you know something?" "Oh right, your relationship with Shijuan is so good. She must have told you before." Seeing Yin Tong's reaction, Zhou Hao knew that although she had read Yin Qingqing's diary, she had not read everything. So he did not know that Yin Qingqing already knew about the matter between him and Wang Shijuan. "Mom, cousin, you go out first. I want to talk to Qingqing." Yin Tong interrupted Zhou Hao's words and pushed Zhou Hao out of the ward and closed the door. Zhou Hao stood in front of the ward in a daze and said to himself, "There is no need for this." He was just about to use his superhuman hearing to secretly listen to what Yin Tong and Yin Qingqing were saying in the ward. The phone in his arms rang at this time. He picked it up and saw that it was Situ Li. "Xiao Hao, you killed the two men in the rented house on Yellowstone Street, right?" Situ Li cut his head off and said this sentence. Zhou Hao did not have to deny it. "That's right. They wanted to threaten the safety of my family, so I killed them." Situ Li complained. "Even if it's self-defense, you don't have to be so harsh on them. Just kill them. Why did he have to ravage them like this? It has a huge impact. If the people outside know about it, it would be very difficult for me to do it. Anyway, it's not a false case, so it shouldn't have much of an impact, right? And I know that, Uncle Situ. You have plenty of ways to block off this information." If it was Zhou Hao in his previous life, he wouldn't even dare to kill a dog, let alone kill someone. However, not only did he possess peerless martial arts, he also possessed the ability to kill people. And money and power. The viciousness that was suppressed in his heart was also stimulated. Sometimes, he even felt a little emotional. In the eyes of some people, human life was really not the same. Fortunately, Zhou Hao was not the kind of person who would kill the innocent for his own selfish desires. His ruthlessness was targeted at those who offended him, just like Du Fenghai and Jiang Song, who had really pulled out his reverse scale this time. Situ Li said, "Oh right, that Du Fenghai has already been sent to the hospital. You really hate him. Now, all of his limbs are crippled, and he can only lie on the bed in the future. Also, the heroin found in their rented house has exceeded 50 grams. The heaviest one can be sentenced to death. Those who can avoid the death penalty shouldn't be sentenced to death. They can be sentenced to life." Zhou Hao said. The reason he didn't release so much heroin was because he was afraid that if he released too much, Du Fenghai would be sentenced to death. With Du Fenghai's current situation, even if he was freed, Zhou Hao naturally wouldn't do so. Sure enough, Situ Li said, "You really have a dark heart. With his current state, I'm afraid that he would rather die than live in prison. He dared to set his eyes on my family. This kind of punishment isn't too excessive." Zhou Hao said coldly. "Also, Uncle Situ, don't let him die in the prison. If he's hungry, I'll feed him. Find a doctor if he's sick. Come and see him. I want him to live a long life inside. I'll be responsible for all the expenses." Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Situ Li also shivered in his heart. He said, "Xiao Hao, although I am the director of the Public Security Bureau, these things, after all, they are not very suitable. Recently, I heard that Uncle Gao will be transferred to the province in a few days, and you will probably take over the position of mayor after Uncle Gao leaves Xiang City," Zhou Hao suddenly said. As for the Uncle Gao he mentioned, it was Gao Jingyi's father, the current mayor of Xiang City, Gao Holu. Situ Li was slightly stunned and could not help but ask, "How did you know?" However, as soon as the words left his mouth, he understood what was going on. Zhou Hao is now a loyal member of the Zhao family. Zhao Dingzhou was a great general, and the Zhao family had a very close network in Guangdong. It wouldn't be difficult for Zhou Hao to find out about this information. He also understood what Zhou Hao meant. Although it wasn't because of the Zhao family that he was selected to take over the position of Xiang City's chief. However, he reckoned that the Zhao family's help was also indispensable. This must be the Zhao family doing this because of his relationship with Zhou Hao. With this thought, Situ Li immediately knew that Zhou Hao was the big tree that he wanted to hug. With Zhou Hao's support, even if he might not be able to become the mayor, at least the people of the Zhao family would not make trouble for him in secret. Therefore, Situ Li quickly said, "Xiao Hao, your matter is Uncle Situ's matter. This matter will not be a problem." "Thank you, Uncle Situ." Zhou Hao knew that Situ Li had already grasped his meaning, so he deliberately expressed his thanks. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Hao thought that Du Fenghai had reminded him of something. He had many women with him, but he couldn't protect them with his clones. If he wasn't with them, it would be terrible if they were in danger. "Looks like I need to find some bodyguards," Zhou Hao said to himself. In fact, as a bodyguard, the best would be those who had received training. In Zhou Hao's mind, the ideal candidate would be those retired soldiers. It would be best if they were retired soldiers of the special forces. Zhou Hao had a very close relationship with the military, so he wanted to ask Zhao Dingzhou for help. Thinking of this, he immediately dialed Zhao Dingzhou's number. "Mr. Zhao, do you have any retired special forces soldiers under you?" Zhou Hao went straight to the point. Zhao Dingzhou said, "Of course, but our military usually arrange for them to change jobs." "Why are you asking this?" "It's nothing. Recently, there have been some things. Some people are eyeing my family, and I can't be with them often, so I want to find some people to protect them," Zhou Hao said. Zhao Dingzhou understood what Zhou Hao meant. In fact, many wealthy people had the habit of hiring retired soldiers as bodyguards. Some people with connections and means would even hire active soldiers. Moreover, the soldiers they hired were not limited to the country. They would also hire some famous foreign soldiers. For example, the United States Marine Corps. Zhao Dingzhou smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "Haha, now that you have a lot of money, you should hire a few people to come and go with you?" Zhou Hao smiled and said, "I am not a problem myself. Most importantly, they are my family. Mr. Zhao, can you give me some people to use? Don't worry, I won't treat them unfairly. Most of the retired ones have already been arranged to change careers. It's not appropriate to transfer them to you as bodyguards," Zhao Dingzhou said, "but I happen to have a batch of people here who are preparing to retire and have not arranged to change jobs. Why don't you come and take a look?" Sure. Zhou Hao smiled and said. He thought to himself, Zhao Yuqin was Zhao Rixin's daughter, and the people protecting her were the people in the logistics department who were called experts of the inner court. Yang Jiabao was born in a martial arts family. Her skills were also very good. As long as she did not meet an expert, there would be no problem. Therefore, apart from Yin Tong and Lu Shiping, there was also Yin Qingqing, Wang Shijuan, Situ Jianying, and Li Rulin who needed protection. Moreover, Liang Xiaobing had female soldiers protecting her. After talking to Zhao Dingzhou, the door of Yin Qingqing's ward opened and Yin Tong walked out. Before Zhou Hao could say anything, Yin Tong knocked on his head hard. "Mom, what are you doing?" Zhou Hao touched the place Yin Tong knocked on and said, feeling wronged. Yin Tong glared at him. "You stinky brat. You really accumulated good fortune in your previous life. Sigh, what a nice girl you are. She will be ruined in your hands." In her eyes, half of it was emotion, but the other half was joy. Zhou Hao saw the joy in her eyes and knew that she had already agreed to the matter between him and Yin Qingqing. He heard Yin Tong say again, lightly said that she already knew about the matter between you and Shijuan. In order not to affect your relationship, she even planned to keep her feelings in her heart. Perhaps she would never say it out loud for the rest of her life. Sigh, your relationship can't be used as a marriage certificate. That's why I told you that as long as you're by your side, you can give up any title. She sighed and said, my life is so light. Why is it in your hands? Mom, cousin has become your wife. You should be happy, right? Zhou Hao looked at Yin Tong. Yin Tong stared at Zhou Hao. Listen to me. You have to treat her well. If I find out that you bullied her, humph. I know, Mom. I still love her. Why would I bully her? Zhou Hao said with a smile. He pushed open the door and walked in. Yin Tong stayed outside the room and did not follow them in. She thought of Li Ruolin and Wang Shijuan in her heart and said to herself, that fortune teller is right. This child is destined to be haunted by peach blossoms. I only hope that in the end, it will be all in vain. Previously, she had used Zhou Hao's horoscope to find a fortune teller to take a look. That old master had said that Zhou Hao was destined to be haunted by peach blossoms for the rest of his life. Now, Yin Tong had no doubt about what that old master had said. After that, that female doctor checked Yin Qingqing's body again and confirmed that Yin Qingqing did not have any mental addiction. Only then did Zhou Hao feel relieved. After that, Zhou Hao left the hospital and went to the military to look for Zhao Dingzhou. When he arrived at the military, it was already noon. Zhao Dingzhou asked Zhou Hao to have lunch with him. I heard you were going to Beijing to see the old man in a few days. Zhao Dingzhou smiled at Zhou Hao.
Yes.
Zhou Hao put a piece of chicken into his mouth. By the way, Mr. Zhao, how was the Japanese who I gave Brother Liu and the others last time? Did your military get any information from him? Zhou Hao was talking about the Japanese called Crow, who attacked Nanami Keiru last time. Zhao Dingzhou nodded. We have already gotten the answer. He was the backbone of the upper echelons of the anti-Hua forces. The yellow spring water that old Zhu and the others obtained the last time was seized by this fellow. Luckily, they didn't manage to decipher the composition of the spring water. The old Zhu he was talking about was the commander of the Nanjing military region, Zhu Yongquan, who was a student of Zhao Rixin. Right? From his words, we also know that the Mitsui Financial Group is secretly supporting many anti-Hua forces. The one old Zhu broke down last time was one of them. Zhou Hao already knew about the attitude of the Mitsui Financial Group. Even Nanami Keiru, the executive director of the Mitsui Bank, had plotted against China. Therefore, Zhou Hao did not find it strange that the Mitsui Financial Group secretly supported the anti-Hua forces. Humph. The Mitsui Financial Group is so brazen. We have already decided to take measures. Zhao Dingzhou sneered. The central government has issued a confidential document to attack Mitsui Consortium's businesses in the country, but the Mitsui Financial Group is wealthy and powerful. There are also many companies with 500 strength under their banner. Zhou Hao frowned and said, it should not be easy to attack them. Zhao Dingzhou smiled and said, of course. The Mitsui Financial Group has a close relationship with the Japanese government. The government is basically their spokesperson. If we really want to touch them, it will involve a lot of people. And this time, we do not hope to hurt their foundation. We're just warning them to restrain themselves a bit and know that we're not pushovers that can be easily pinched. When mentioning this, Zhou Hao could not help but think of Nanami Keiru and Hai Qishuan, who she had once disguised as. His heart could not help but ripple. All right, I'll take you to see those special forces soldiers. Zhao Dingzhou wiped his mouth with a napkin and said to Zhou Hao. Thus, he brought Zhou Hao to a field south of the military district. More than 20 special forces soldiers stood upright there, completely unafraid of the fierce afternoon sun above their heads. Just by looking at these people's mental energy, Zhou Hao knew that they were all elites in the military. If they let go of their hands and feet, they would be like a killing machine. Moreover, there was also a restrained killing intent on their bodies. It should have been nurtured from many difficult missions. There was also a lieutenant colonel in his 30s who accompanied Zhao Dingzhou and Zhou Hao over. He was also the commander of these special forces. When the three of them arrived in front of these special forces, the lieutenant colonel shouted loudly, "Attention!" These special forces soldiers immediately straightened their bodies and heard the lieutenant colonel shout, "Take a rest." The special forces soldiers looked forward and uniformly shouted at Zhao Dingzhou, "Hello, Chief." Seeing these energetic special forces soldiers, Zhou Hao also secretly praised them in his heart. Zhao Dingzhou also said, "Everyone, I know you are about to retire. But because of various reasons, many people have yet to change their jobs." Hearing Zhao Dingzhou's words, these special forces soldiers' originally cold and solemn faces also revealed some worry. Although they were special forces soldiers who were more outstanding than ordinary soldiers, if they did not have a strong relationship and support. It was not easy to transfer to a good position. It was even harder to transfer to a government department or a state-owned enterprise. After all, the quota was limited. Zhao Dingzhou said, "But today, I have another choice for everyone. This is my brother, Zhou Hao. He wants to hire some of you to protect his family." Those Special Forces soldiers immediately looked at Zhou Hao when they heard him. In fact, they knew that many of their comrades had retired and become private bodyguards under some wealthy people. This was also a way out, let alone being a bodyguard of a rich person. The salary was very good. It was much better than being a security guard. Looking at these Special Forces soldiers, Zhou Hao also spoke. "As long as it meets my requirements, the highest salary can be 10,000 yuan per month. Food and accommodation are all included." When these Special Forces heard this, they were also shocked, because even if they changed jobs to government departments or state-owned enterprises, it was also impossible to get a monthly salary of 10,000 yuan. Even if it was those comrades who were bodyguards for the rich, the highest salary was 7 or 8,000 yuan. However, he heard Zhou Hao add, "By the way, I'm talking about dollars. As long as it meets my requirements, the highest salary can be 10,000 US dollars per month, and the lowest is 3,000 US dollars. There will also be additional bonuses." Once Zhou Hao said this, not only those Special Forces soldiers, even Zhao Dingzhou and the lieutenant colonel looked at Zhou Hao in surprise. Just counting the salary, Zhao Dingzhou didn't even have $10,000 a month. Of course, this was only based on the salary issued by the country. The lieutenant colonel also looked at Zhou Hao with burning eyes. It seemed that he also wanted to retire and be Zhou Hao's bodyguard. However, as the saying goes, "Only those who meet my requirements will be hired." Zhou Hao said, "As long as you can survive 2 moves from me, you will get a monthly salary of $10,000. When they heard Zhou Hao's words, the first impression these Special Forces soldiers had when they stood in a neat row was that they were boasting shamelessly. They were all brave soldiers who had experienced hundreds of battles. Their punches, kicks, guns, stealth, and tracking skills were all at the peak of perfection. Even the famous free-range champions were no match for them. Now, this young man who seemed to be in his early 20s actually said that he could withstand 2 moves from him and get the 10,000 yuan monthly salary. To them, this was simply an insult. Furthermore, Zhou Hao did not look like a person who possessed martial arts. Everyone turned their eyes to Zhao Dingzhou, waiting for the chief's opinion. Zhao Dingzhou said, "Since he said so, if any of you are willing to come out and try, then come out and try." The lieutenant colonel also shouted, "Did you hear what the chief said? Anyone who wants to come out can come out and try." Those Special Forces soldiers looked around and saw a man in the back row, who had a body similar to Zhou Hao's, of 24 or 25 years old, walk out from the crowd. He walked up to Zhao Dingzhou and the middle school student with proper steps and gave a military salute before saying, "Reporting to the chief, I want to give it a try." Zhao Dingzhou nodded. The man turned around to face Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao looked at him with a smile and said, "Don't underestimate your enemy. Do your best, or you will get hurt." The man's face turned cold. He said loudly, "Thank you for your reminder, but the 4 of us won't underestimate our enemy under any circumstances." He stood opposite of Zhou Hao and didn't make any moves. He just stood there, staring at Zhou Hao with his eagle-like eyes, as if he was trying to find a flaw in Zhou Hao's body. Zhou Hao did not think it was a big deal. He quietly paid attention to the first special soldier who came out to try. He found that this special soldier had a kind of condensed power. Although it was not flamboyant, once it erupted, its power would be shocking. Those special soldiers looked at the 2 of them. They had the attitude of watching a good show in their hearts, because the person who went out was called Lei Hu. He was the strongest among them. He had even won the South China Region Championship in the military fighting competition. It had to be known that the fighting competition in the military was very different from those outside. All the participating soldiers were real and genuine. If they were not strong enough, they might be seriously injured in the competition. "Huh!" Lei Hu shouted. His body, which had been standing there, suddenly exploded. Like a lion hunting a rabbit, he threw himself at Zhou Hao. The condensed and restrained chi on his body burst out all of a sudden. Zhou Hao secretly praised Lei Hu. Lei Hu had already become as quiet as a virgin. Lei Hu's right fist was pushed forward, his middle finger was tightened, and his knuckles were protruding from his fist. It looked a bit like the Phoenix Eye fist. Furthermore, he was attacking Zhou Hao's throat. To ordinary people, the throat was one of the most vulnerable parts of their body. Once they were hit, they would immediately lose their ability to fight back. This was the killing move of the Special Forces against their enemies. Many a time, when the Special Forces attacked, they would kill unless they needed to capture the enemy alive. And Lei Hu's current attack was also a killing move. It was much more powerful than the Thai fist, which was known for its ruthlessness. From this, it could be seen that he didn't hold back. In just a breath's time, Lei Hu's fist had already arrived in front of Zhou Hao's neck. Just as his knuckles were about to hit Zhou Hao's throat, there was a faint whistling sound in the air. Zhou Hao raised his left hand in front of his neck, opened his palm, and grabbed Lei Hu's fist. Zhou Hao's hand sank along with the momentum, and Lei Hu's right arm also sank down. At the same time, Zhou Hao's other hand was like a crane's beak, piercing towards Lei Hu's ribs. Lei Hu had practiced martial arts in the army for many years and had experienced countless battles. Once Zhou Hao attacked, he knew that this young man in front of him was really unfathomable, and he was far from being his opponent. However, even though he knew that he was not as good as Zhou Hao, Lei Hu still did not retreat when faced with Zhou Hao's tricky attack. Instead, he straightened his body and stepped forward. He used his other hand, which wasn't restrained, to form a fist to attack Zhou Hao's crane's mouth. When the two fists collided, Lei Hu felt a burning pain on his fist. However, it finally resolved Zhou Hao's attack. At the same time, Lei Hu flipped his body in the air and used the spinning force to pull back the fist that Zhou Hao was holding. He kicked the ground with both feet and flew towards Zhou Hao like a gust of wind. Zhou Hao slightly lowered his body and took a horse stance. He raised both of his hands and kicked Lei Hu's ankle, causing Lei Hu's body to involuntarily flip backwards in the air. Zhou Hao used his left foot to support himself. Then he made a backspin kick and kicked Lei Hu in the chest. Lei Hu fell to the ground a few meters away like a broken shoe. There was a trace of blood coming out of his mouth and nose. However, after breathing for a while on the ground, he struggled to get up again. He looked at Zhou Hao with a strong desire to fight. Zhou Hao, on the other hand, revealed a smile. "All right, 2 moves have passed. You can still get up, but you have passed. If you are willing, I will officially hire you as my family's bodyguard. Your monthly salary is $10,000, and there will be a bonus at the end of the year." Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Lei Hu let out a long sigh. The fighting spirit in his eyes had completely disappeared, and he fell to the ground as if he had lost all his strength, gasping for breath. It turned out that he had relied entirely on his tenacious will to stand up just now. However, this tenacious will was also a kind of strength. Many a time, willpower was much more important than physical strength. The other Special Forces soldiers were stunned. They clearly did not expect Zhou Hao to be so strong. He only used 2 moves to knock down the strongest one among them. It seemed like he still had some strength left. However, seeing that Lei Hu had already gotten the 10,000 USD monthly salary, the rest of them were shocked. Although they knew they were weaker than Lei Hu, they couldn't help but feel eager to give it a try. Zhou Hao made a pleased gesture to them and said with a smile, "Everyone can try. As long as you can withstand 2 moves from me, you can get a monthly salary of $10,000. In less than half an hour, these 20-odd Special Forces soldiers walked 1 round under Zhou Hao's hands. However, there were very few people who could withstand 2 moves from Zhou Hao like Lei Hu. Including Lei Hu, there were only 5 in total. Most of the others could only withstand 1 strike from Zhou Hao. Those who could survive 1 move from Zhou Hao would get a monthly salary of $5,000. The rest would be $3,000. "Xiao Hao, you want to invite all the Special Forces here back?" Zhao Dingzhou looked at Zhou Hao in surprise. Zhou Hao nodded. "Yes, not only my family needs bodyguards, but my company also needs some guards." He had more and more business, so naturally he would encounter all kinds of forces, even though he had a good relationship with the military. However, there were also some people who did not know what was good for them who would find trouble with him. They would always need to have their own strength to protect the company's property. However, the lowest salary of these special forces was $3,000. If it was converted into RMB, it would be more than $20,000. It was better than going to the government department or state-owned enterprises. And there was also a bonus at the end of the year. So they were all willing to work for Zhou Hao. "Lei Hu, when can you retire?" Zhou Hao asked Lei Hu, the 5 people who could withstand 2 of his attacks. Now, Lei Hu and the other 3 were convinced of Zhou Hao's martial arts. Lei Hu said, "1 week later, we will officially retire. When that time comes, we will be able to work." Zhou Hao nodded and looked at Zhao Dingzhou. "Big brother, can they still carry guns after retirement?" Zhao Dingzhou glared at him. "Of course not. They will not be official soldiers after retirement. How can they be equipped with guns? However, if you want them to be equipped with guns, I can give them some license plates." Lei Hu and the others were also very surprised when they heard this, because they were all people who slept with guns in their hands. If they did not have guns on them, they would also feel awkward. "All right, Come and find me in a week. Zhou Hao handed his business card to Lei Hu and the others. After bidding farewell to Zhao Dingzhou, Zhou Hao left the military and drove back to Xiang City. Yin Qingqing was still in the hospital, and Zhou Hao was just in time to have dinner with her. Yin Qingqing's water-like face appeared in his mind. Zhou Hao felt his heart soften. At this moment, the phone rang. Pervert, where are you now? It was Yang Jiabao's voice. Zhou Hao had talked to Yang Jiabao on the phone earlier. She had already finished her college entrance examination, and releasing the results was also within these few days. Now that she called, Zhou Hao knew that it was definitely the release of the results of the college entrance examination. And listening to Yang Jiabao's faintly concealed joyous tone, it was clear that she had obtained a very good result. He knew that Yang Jiabao's ambition was Tsinghua University, so he smiled and said, I'm in Xiang City. Your results for the college entrance examination should be out, right? How did it go? Hee hee. It's more than 30 points higher than the admission score of Tsinghua University. Yang Jiabao's voice was very lively, as if it was a crisp sound that jumped out from the microphone. Hee hee, so impressive. Zhou Hao also smiled. He knew that to get this score, it was not only because he was good at reading, but also because of his mental strength and adaptability. In his previous life, he had studied hard for more than 10 years through his winter window. After countless efforts, he finally managed to get into Fudan University. Hence, in terms of studying, he still could not compare to Yang Jiabao. I'm going to have a summer vacation. When are you coming to see me? Yang Jiabao asked expectantly. Zhou Hao felt a headache when he heard this. He could not split himself up at all. Jiabao, I'm sorry. I have to go to Beijing in 2 days and then Hong Kong. I can't accompany you anymore. You want to go to Beijing? Yang Jiabao said, that's good. Anyway, I have to go to Tsinghua University to study. I will go with you. On this day, Zhou Hao took Yin Qingqing to Huayu Village to take a look at the factory condition of Sky River Drink Company in Huayu Village. On the other hand, he wanted to visit Yin Mudong and Yin Munin with Yin Qingqing. This was the first time Yin Qingqing had returned since she came out of Huayu Village. The sky outside was clear and blue, and melodious music played in the car. Yin Qingqing wore simple light blue jeans and a white t-shirt with the image of a teddy bear on it. It was plain and lively. Especially when she was alone with Zhou Hao, every minute and every second was joyful. Feeling happy, Yin Qingqing couldn't help but hum along with the music in the car. Zhou Hao, who was sitting in the driver's seat, looked at his beautiful and kind cousin with a smile on his face. He also felt that it was very pleasing to watch. With Zhou Hao's investment and the construction team under Fan Li's command, the road leading to the outside of Huayu Village had already been repaired. A white, flat cement road was like a broad road that led straight to Huayu Village. When he arrived at Huayu Village, Zhou Hao saw that on the left side of the village, there was a well-arranged house of the villagers. On the right side of the large open space was a brand new building complex. In the building complex, on both sides was a spacious factory building, and in the middle was a 6-story building with offices and laboratories. Behind the building was an 8-story residential building, which was the dormitory of the factory workers. This was the factory of Heavenly River in Huayu Village. There were more than 10 trucks parked at the entrance, and boxes of mountain spring water were coming in and out. Zhou Hao turned the steering wheel and turned the car to the factory. A young man in blue security uniform walked out of the pavilion at the gate. He first bowed to Zhou Hao from afar. It seemed that he had served in the army before. Zhou Hao stopped the car and lowered the window. The security guard bowed to him and asked, Sir, this is the Jade Transformation Factory of Tianhe Drink Limited. Is there anything I can help you with? I am Zhou Hao. Is Director Dai here? Notify him. Zhou Hao said with a smile. The full name of this Director Dai was Dai Zhanwang. He was originally the deputy director of a state-owned beverage factory in Guangzhou. He was a very capable person, but because he offended the leader of that factory, he had been suppressed. Zhao Yuqin found out about this person through her friends. After she personally saw him and inspected him, she immediately poached him to manage the factory in Huayu Village. Dai Zhanwang was in his 40s. He originally planned to work in the state-owned beverage factory to retire a deputy director without any real power, but he did not expect to meet Zhao Yuqin and Zhou Hao. It gave him a stage to showcase his talent. He did not let Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin down. He took care of the factory in Huayu Village. Zhou Hao wanted Li Chufan to be the director of the factory, but he remembered that he and Song Buoqian were fascinated by the development and research. He was afraid that he didn't have the energy to manage the factory, and he wasn't the kind of person who was good at socializing. Therefore, Zhou Hao just let it go. The security guard obviously did not know that Zhou Hao was the big boss here, but he still politely said, Okay, sir, please wait. After saying that, he went back to the pavilion and called the office. Yin Qingqing said to Zhou Hao, I didn't expect the security guards here to be so strong. In Fragrant City, the security guards of some factories are very fierce, and they won't let you enter their factories. Zhou Hao nodded. Most of the employees and security guards in the factories were hired from Huayu Village. The villagers in Huayu Village were simple and kind. Although their skills could not be compared with those of the elite white-collar workers in the city, they were more than enough to serve as workers with weak skills. Moreover, Zhou Hao had always prioritized morals in hiring employees. If there were not enough employees, they could be slowly nurtured. However, morals had to be passed. Not long after, the security guard quickly walked over and said to Zhou Hao, Mr. Zhou, please come in. Director Dai is inside. How about I bring you in? He saw Dai Zhanwang, Li Chufan, and a few employees coming out of the office building towards him. Zhou Hao smiled at the security guard and said, No need, thank you. I can go in myself. Also, you have done a good job. I will tell Director Dai. The security guard who spoke through the phone clearly knew Zhou Hao's identity. After hearing his words, he showed a trace of joy and saluted Zhou Hao again. Zhou Hao also nodded and smiled. He started the car and drove into the factory. There was a special parking lot in the factory. When Zhou Hao parked the car and got out of the car with Yin Qingqing, Li Chufan, Dai Zhanwang, and a few others had already walked over. Mr. Zhou, you are here. We have been waiting for you for a long time. Dai Zhanwang smiled at Zhou Hao. Although he was in his early 40s, he was still healthy and energetic. At this time, his smile towards Zhou Hao was not fake respect, but a kind of gratitude. After all, it was because of Zhou Hao that he was able to meet the second spring of his career. Li Chufan, who was beside him, also smiled and said, Xiao Hao, the factory has been built for so long. This is your first time coming here. I'm ashamed. I've been running all over the place during this period of time. I have not even come to see my own family business. Zhou Hao scratched his head and smiled. Oh, right, uncle. This is my cousin, Yin Qingqing, who grew up in Huayu Village. Cousin, this is Uncle Li, the supervisor of our factory's technology development department. Hello, Uncle Li, Yin Qingqing greeted Li Chufan warmly. When Li Chufan first saw the honest and kind Yin Qingqing, he immediately fell in love with her. He smiled kindly and said, Good. Since you are Xiao Hao's cousin, then we are one family. Xiao Hao, come. We will bring you to see the factory here. Okay. Zhou Hao nodded. He and Yin Qingqing followed Dai Zhanwang and the others into the factory. The factories on both sides were very large. Each of them was as big as 3 or 4 football fields. Zhou Hao and the others walked in and saw rows of advanced production equipment neatly forming an extremely high automated production line. This entire production line was bought by Zhou Hao from Germany's S&AMP. The workers in blue uniforms were all focused on controlling the production equipment. Their skillful movements could not be seen at all. Some time ago, they were still villagers who only knew how to farm. Zhou Hao could see that at the end of the production line, bottles of packaged spring water kept coming out. There were also some employees who wore masks who immediately took out a bottle to test whether the spring water inside was up to standard. The factory directly attracted the spring water from the Huayu Village mountain, so the production was very convenient. Dai Zhanwang also introduced it to Zhou Hao. Our factory's production is on track, and the daily production can reach 100,000 bottles. Sold to various provinces in the South China region, the sales department has also added a lot of orders for us during this period of time. Now we have already started the 24-hour shifts. The daily production can be increased to 150,000 bottles. Zhou Hao nodded. Actually, Tianhe Company still had offices in Guangzhou. They were mainly responsible for selling, packaging, and advertising the spring water in Tianhe Mountain. Just like the Tongguang Food Company, the offices there were all rented office buildings in the city area of Guangzhou. In fact, with the scale of Heavenly River, the factories in Huayu Village and the large production bases in Jingyu County were all built there. Their assets would be more than 2 billion renminbi. They could totally build a commercial building in a big city as the company's headquarters. However, Zhou Hao thought that since Heavenly River was still in the early stages of development, it was better not to be so high profile. It was better to avoid the big tree attracting the wind. It would only be more appropriate to show it to the public after Sky River's products successfully covered the entire market. The large-scale production base in Jingyu County had not been built yet, and it was still investing funds. However, the mountain spring water produced by Huayu Village was very effective. Up until now, the total value of the mountain spring water produced in Huayu Village was 200 million renminbi. Although this amount of money could not even be compared to the money Zhou Hao spent in the laboratory, one could still see the strong potential of development. He believed that in less than a year, The few hundred million that Zhou Hao had invested in Huayu Village would all be returned to him. After that, Zhou Hao followed Li Chufan to visit the laboratory. No one would have thought that there would be a very modern laboratory in this 6-story office building with a simple appearance. Some of the experimental equipment inside couldn't even be compared to national research institutes. Zhou Hao had invested 100 million in this laboratory in the beginning, but after Li Chufan's suggestion, he invested another 200 million. Standing outside the large glass window, he looked at the shiny metal instruments and test tubes inside the laboratory. Zhou Hao sighed in his heart. All of these were money. The value of the equipment in the laboratory was almost comparable to the entire factory. The researchers in the laboratory, who were wearing sterile clothes, were not affected by the visitors outside at all. Instead, they had the spirit of a scientist who had forgotten himself. Our orange fruit has been perfected and can be launched at any time, Li Chufan said to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao nodded and said, after the sales department takes out the complete promotional plan, we can officially push it out of the market. Oh right, Uncle Li, didn't I say earlier that besides orange fruits, we still need more follow-up products? How are your preparations? The beverage formula we developed previously was already very good, and Huayu Village has sufficient fruits. It's not difficult to develop it. Li Chufan said, by the way, talking about Huayu Village, Mu Dong and Mu Nan seem to have encountered some trouble. Trouble? Zhou Hao frowned. Beside him, Yin Qingqing also looked worried. After all, Yin Mudong and Yin Munin were her family. Ever since he had acquired a certain amount of wealth, Zhou Hao had always been very helpful to the Yin family. First, he helped Yin Mudong become the chief of Huayu Village. Then, he set up a fruit wholesale company for them. Yin Munin took 60% of the shares, while Yin Mudong took 40%. In Huayu Village, there were more than 100,000 acres of fruit trees. 90% of them were signed by the villagers to Sky River. The other trees were signed with Yin Munin and sold by Yin Munin's Southeastern Fruit Wholesale Company. The fruits in Huayu Village used to be very good. In the past, they had only lost most of their value because of the lack of roads. Now, Zhou Hao had built a road to the outside of Huayu Village, which was equivalent to helping Huayu Village open up the market outside. Even though the Southeastern Fruit Wholesale Company only bought 10% of the fruits in Huayu Village, it had already made Yin Mudong, Yin Munin, a huge profit. In addition, the Heavenly River Factory, which supported the entire economy of Huayu Village, was also owned by Zhou Hao, which made the Yin family status in Huayu Village rise. Li Chufan said, speaking of which, this has something to do with our Heavenly River Company. Recently, someone has taken a liking to the fruits and resources in Huayu Village, so he came here to buy them. However, all the fruit farmers in Huayu Village have signed an agreement with our Heavenly River or Southeastern Wholesale Company, and that person's purchase price is ridiculously low. However, that person seems to have some background. A few days ago, he came to discuss this matter with Village Chief Yin. After discussing it wrongly, he left a message. He said that if we don't let him buy the fruits of Huayu Village, we will let Chief Yin and Huayu Village have a taste of it. Who is the one who is so arrogant? Zhou Hao snorted. Li Chufan said, that guy might have seen the scale of our factory and thought about us. That's why he didn't dare to think about those fruit farmers who signed the agreement with us. Instead, he went to look for the remaining fruit farmers who signed the agreement with the Southeast Wholesale Company. When he heard Li Chufan's words, Zhou Hao somewhat understood. That fellow must have seen the road leading to the outside of Huayu Village being built. As the saying goes, the road leads to wealth. Furthermore, the fruits in Huayu Village were really good, especially those lychee and dragon eyes. If they were sold to the cities outside, they would definitely be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Zhou Hao sneered. Humph. He was poor on the streets, and no one asked him about it. The rich had distant relatives in the deep mountains. In the past, the roads in the village were blocked, and no one wanted to develop this place. Now, after I've built the roads, you want to snatch food from my mouth? There's no such thing as such a cheap thing in the world. Indeed, even the road in Huayu Village was built by Zhou Hao with money. He could confidently say to others, this road is opened by me, and this tree is planted by me. If you want to pass through it, leave some money to buy the road. I am not sure about the specific situation. Xiao Hao, go and ask Chief Yin and the others. Li Chufan said. Zhou Hao nodded. I am going to go back with my cousin to see Uncle and the others. Uncle, let's go first. Dai Zhanwang personally sent Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing to the parking lot. After Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing sat in the car, he said to Zhou Hao, Mr. Zhou, whenever you have time, you are welcome to come and visit again. Director Dai, you have done very well. You have taken care of the entire factory. It was a waste of you in the state-owned factory in the past. Zhou Hao smiled and said, I hope you will not disappoint me and my sister. Of course, of course. I still have to thank Mr. Zhou and Miss Zhao for their insight. Dai Zhanwang smiled and said, during this period of time, Zhao Yuqin had been in Beijing and Jingyu County, helping Zhou Hao look at the production base that was under construction. She also needed to remotely manage the sales of the spring water in the Sky River. Therefore, Yin Qingqing did not have the chance to see her. From Yin Tong's words, Yin Qingqing knew that Zhao Yuqin was a very capable woman and had helped Zhou Hao's family a lot. And her relationship with Zhou Hao was also very close. Her father even recognized Zhou Hao as his godson. However, every time Zhou Hao mentioned this elder sister, Yin Qingqing was sensitive to the trace of gentleness that flashed in his eyes, just like when he looked at her. So Yin Qingqing intuitively felt that Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin did not have a simple sibling relationship. However, even though she had some guesses in her heart, Yin Qingqing did not say it out loud because she felt that Zhao Yuqin was so capable. She was simply Zhou Hao's right-hand man. Compared to her, Zhao Yuqin was more suitable to be Zhou Hao's virtuous internal helper. Therefore, Yin Qingqing even saw Zhao Yuqin, whom she had never met before, as her goal. She secretly swore in her heart that she must work hard and try her best to reduce the burden on Zhou Hao. Riding on the carriage, Zhou Hao entered the Huayu village. Different from the last time he came here, there was a stone arch built at the entrance of the village. On it were the words, Huayu Village. Zhou Hao knew that this arch was also built by Yin Mudong, Yin Munin. Entering from the bottom of the arch, the appearance of Huayu Village did not change much. However, Zhou Hao could see the happy faces of the villagers outside, which made the atmosphere in the village very lively. That is the nephew of the village chief, Zhou Hao. That Heavenly River Company is his. My daughter is working inside. A few middle-aged women gathered around Zhou Hao and watched him drive slowly. They were talking about the Mercedes-Benz. Last time, he was the one who sent people to capture the Wei family, and even let Yin Mudong be our village chief. AI, Yin Mudong's family is good, they have such a nephew. My man said that their fruit company can earn a few million a year. But they have also brought up the entire Huayu village. Previously, it was village chief Yin who encouraged us to plant fruit trees. Now that the Heavenly River Company has signed an agreement with us, we are not afraid that our fruits will not be sold here. My man also said that in a year or two, our family will be able to build a new house. Didn't they say that the Yin family's daughter married well? Why did she suddenly get angry? The road in our village was also built by the Yin family's nephew. The last time I chatted with the construction worker, he said to build a road of this size and length. At least a few hundred million. A few hundred million. I haven't even seen a few $1,000s in cash. How much money is a few hundred million? You don't have to worry about whether her daughter is married or not. Anyway, her son is now rich. It would be great if our family could have such a son. I don't know if Zhou Hao has a girlfriend or not. I would like to introduce our daughter to him. Zhou Hao, who had good hearing, heard the women outside talking about him and looking at him enviously. He could not help but feel proud. He thought that it really felt like he had returned to his hometown. Slowly arriving in front of the Yin family's door, Zhou Hao was also a little stunned. Because at this time, in the Yin family's courtyard, it was no longer the two simple one-story houses from before. Instead, a 5-story high independent house was built. In the courtyard, there was also a rockery pond. There were some small trees planted around it. A Santana car was quietly parked in the open space in the courtyard. Yin Qingqing also revealed a shocked expression when she saw it. In her heart, she even suspected that this place was not her home. At this time, a pair of old men were supporting each other as they walked out of the house. It seemed like they wanted to take a walk outside. Seeing them, Yin Qingqing finally confirmed that this was her home, because the two old men were her grandfather and grandmother, as well as Zhou Hao's grandfather and grandmother. Grandfather, grandmother. Zhou Hao got out of the car and greeted the two old men in the yard. Hey, Xiao Hao, Qingqing, you're back. We were thinking of picking you up at the village entrance. Grandpa said with a smile. Zhou Hao also took out a bag of tonics from the trunk of the car and walked in with Yin Qingqing. Grandma saw Zhou Hao coming in with a bag of things and couldn't help but complain. It's good that you guys came to see us. There's no need to buy so many things. Zhou Hao and the others followed them into the house. They saw that although the house wasn't very luxurious, it was still very beautiful and generous. His grandfather said to Zhou Hao, Mu Dong is still at the village council. He can only come back at noon. Mu Nan is on the 3rd floor. As he spoke, he saw Yin Munin coming down the stairs. When he saw Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing, he was pleasantly surprised and quickened his pace to Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing's side. Xiao Hao, Ching Ching, all of you are back. Come, let's go up. Xiao Hao, your aunt knows that you are coming. She even made a lot of your favorite food. Later at noon, all of you should have a good taste. Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing looked at each other and smiled. Looking at her father, Yin Qingqing suddenly blushed, because she thought in her heart, Yin Mudong was not only Zhou Hao's uncle anymore. From a certain point of view, Yin Mudong was also Zhou Hao's father-in-law. When the family came to the hall on the third floor, Zhou Hao found that the room was fully equipped with television, refrigerator, and other appliances. Yin Munin saw Zhou Hao looking around and said with a smile, "This house was built recently, and it cost more than 500,000 yuan. The total area of this 5-story house was 1,000 square meters. The cost of 500,000 yuan was already considered cheap. Speaking of which, I still have to thank you, Xiao Hao. You gave us so much money last time and helped us develop the southeast. You said that the profits of the wholesale fruits were very good. That's right. We took the fruits from the village out to buy. We earned 200,000 to 300,000 a month. Now that the house has been built and the car has been bought, Big Brother has also become the village chief. All of this is because of you, Xiao Hao." Yin Munin said to Zhou Hao, "Uncle, don't say that. We are family, so we don't need to worry about that." Zhou Hao said, "Do I have the ability to watch you guys suffer from the oppression of your life? Although money is important, it is still far from being comparable to the familial love between us." Zhou Hao's words made Yin Munin and his grandparents' eyes filled with tears. They heard his grandfather say, "Ah Tong's life is worth it to have a son like you. Xiao Hao, you are so much better than your father." As soon as his grandfather finished speaking, his grandmother knocked him lightly and complained in a low voice, "Why did you mention that person all of a sudden?" Zhou Hao pretended not to hear what his grandfather and grandmother said. Indeed, Zhou Hao had always hated his father since he was young. On one hand, he had never done his duty as a father and a husband. On the other hand, he had hurt Yin Tong too much. In her previous life, Yin Tong had died from liver cancer at the end of her life. The direct reason was because of Zhou Hao, her father. Zhou Hao had accumulated a lot of money, but he could give the Yin family millions of dollars at once. He could help Yin Mudong become the village chief and help Yin Munin open a company. He could even buy a house for Li Chufan and his wife generously. However, Zhou Hao would not give Zhou Liren even a cent. "Oh right, second uncle. I heard from Uncle Li that you guys encountered some trouble. What exactly happened?" Zhou Hao asked. When mentioning this, Yin Munin's face revealed a distressed expression. He said, "Sigh. Speaking of which, it makes me angry. Last month, Wei Tonghai, who had signed a deal with our southeast, said that the lychee trees he planted had met with insects and didn't harvest any lychee. Originally, when we heard him say this, we wanted to forget about it and let him wait until next year to replenish those fruits. We also wanted to lend him some money because it wasn't easy for him to live his life. However, later on, we discovered that Wei Tong's sea lychee didn't have any insects at all. The harvest was pretty good, but he sold all those lychee to a person called Kai Shuer. Originally, the contract stipulated that the fruits planted by the fruit wholesale company in the southeast could only be sold to the one in the southeast. Now that Wei Tonghai had privately sold the lychee to someone else, it was already considered a breach of contract. Then he heard Yin Munin say, "We were just about to find Wei Tonghai to settle the score when Kai Shuer arrived." Not only did he encourage Wei Tonghai to refuse to sell the fruits to us, he also wanted to buy the fruits from the fruit farmers who had signed a contract with us, and the price was even lower than ours by half. Yin Munin's expression was very angry. Our villagers naturally wouldn't agree. But that guy actually found some hooligans and beat up several fruit farmers. There was one time when we were transporting the fruits to the city, he even ordered people to stop us on the way and destroyed the whole cart of lychee. He also told his big brother to let those fruit farmers obediently sell the fruits to him. Otherwise, we, the Huayu village, will have a good time. When Zhou Hao heard this, his heart was also burning with anger. Who is that guy? Why is he so arrogant? He seems to be from Dongyang County. His second uncle seems to be the county head of Dongyang County. Yin Munin said. Dongyang County was about 20 to 30 kilometers east of Huayu village. It was a neighboring county of Xiang City. How dare the people of Dongyang County come here and act so impudently? Zhou Hao snorted coldly, right? And that Wei Tonghai. What is his relationship with Wei Kuaiji and his son? He's from the same clan as Wei Quanji, but we didn't care about that back then. Yin Munin said. Wei and Yin are both big names in Huayu village. Most of the villagers have the surname Yin or Wei. Zhou Hao nodded and said to Yin Munin, "Second uncle, don't worry. I will wait and see how Kai Shuehu will teach us a lesson. And that Wei Tonghai, since he broke the contract, We'll sue him and let him know the consequences of his actions. Zhou Hao guessed in his heart that perhaps Wei Tonghai hated the Yin family for causing the Wei family to collapse. Or perhaps he was jealous of Yin Mudong Yin Munin making a fortune by opening a fruit wholesale company. Although the Huayu village had a simple reputation, it could not rule out the possibility that someone else would be jealous of the Yin family, which had become wealthy, and make some small moves. Therefore, Zhou Hao wanted to treat this Wei Tonghai as a typical example to deal a blow to the family. Yin Mudong was the chief of the Huayu village. In order to manage these villagers, not only did he have to establish his position, he also had to establish his prestige to prevent them from secretly plotting against the Yin family. After discussing with Yin Munin about how to sue Wei Tonghai, Zhou Hao looked over at Yin Qingqing, who was chatting with her grandfather and grandmother. Coincidentally, Yin Qingqing also looked over to him. When their eyes met, they both felt a ripple in their hearts. Therefore, Zhou Hao deliberately said to Yin Munin, "Cousin and I haven't come back for so long. Let's go out for a walk." Yin Munin didn't worry about him and said with a smile, "That's good. There are many fruit trees planted on the mountain. You guys can go." Yin Qingqing knew that Zhou Hao wanted to be alone with her, so her face flushed red. However, she still told her grandfather and grandmother before following Zhou Hao out. After leaving the Yin family, Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing walked side by side in the village towards the mountain in the distance. They saw that the mountain in the distance was filled with lychee, longyan, pomegranate, and other fruit trees. They looked lush and flourishing. As they walked in the village, the surrounding villagers recognized Zhou Hao. They knew that he was the one who had helped Huayu village enter a new stage. Their eyes were filled with envy and gratitude. They kept looking at Zhou Hao. Someone took the initiative to greet Zhou Hao. Yin Qingqing felt very proud when she saw the villagers looking at Zhou Hao. Arriving at the foot of the mountain, Zhou Hao looked around and saw that there were no other villagers around. So he grabbed Yin Qingqing's soft and boneless hand. They walked along the wide mountain path that the villagers had opened up. Yin Qingqing followed him obediently. She only lowered her head with a red face. Huayu village was surrounded by mountains. Under the encouragement of Yin Mudong and Yin Munin, the villagers had opened up these mountain areas and planted fruit trees. He believed that in a few years, the Huayu village would become a famous land of fruit production in the South China region. Zhou Hao held Yin Qing's hand and walked between the lush fruit trees. He felt as if he had returned to his childhood. Finally, the two of them stopped under a pomegranate tree. As the ground was filled with verdant grass, they did not need to be afraid of being dirty. Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing leaned against the pomegranate tree and sat down. Since there was no one around, Yin Qingqing did not have any scruples. She leaned against Zhou Hao like this and rested her head on Zhou Hao's shoulder. There was a faint fruity fragrance in her nose. The pleasant male scent that came from Zhou Hao's body made her cheeks red. As for Zhou Hao, he lightly hugged her shoulder and smelled the virgin scent on her body. He also felt at ease. "Cousin, do you remember when we played firecrackers when we were young?" A smile appeared on Zhou Hao's face, as if he had remembered something interesting. Yin Qingqing rolled her eyes at Zhou Hao in anger. "Of course I remember. You put firecrackers in cow dung, and when it exploded, an auntie happened to pass by. Not only did you scare her, you even dirted her whole body. She even ran to Grandpa and Grandma's place to complain, making us not even eat dinner. It's all your fault. I told you not to play like that back then." "Ha ha ha ha." Zhou Hao laughed loudly. But think about that Annie's appearance. At that time, she even specially put on new clothes and came out. But we made her whole body covered with cow dung and didn't wash away that smell for a few days. Thinking of the situation at that time, Yin Qingqing couldn't help but laugh. Her smile revealed her neat and white teeth and two cute dimples. That dimple smile also stunned Zhou Hao. He smiled and said, "Although I was naughty at that time, in front of Grandpa and Grandma, you blamed everything on yourself and took punishment with me." He gazed at Yin Qingqing's elegant and refined face and said with deep affection, "Cousin, you are so good to me. How can I repay you? I have never thought of asking you to repay me with anything." Yin Qing lightly leaned on Zhou Hao's shoulder. "As long as I can be with you, it will be the happiest thing for me." Feeling Yin Qing's deep affection that did not ask for anything in return, Zhou Hao was very touched in his heart. He could not help but lower his head and kiss her red lips. Yin Qingqing also closed her eyes and quietly enjoyed Zhou Hao's gentleness. He didn't know when, but Zhou Hao put one hand on Yin Qingqing's shoulder and the other on her breast, touching her through her clothes. Yin Qingqing's breast was not very big, and she could control it with one hand, but it was very soft. Even though it was separated by her clothes and chest, Zhou Hao could still clearly feel the softness and elasticity. Yin Qingqing subconsciously reached out and held Zhou Hao's hand that was wreaking havoc. Her breathing also became rapid, and that orchid-like breath directly entered Zhou Hao's nose. It was like the most natural aphrodisiac, making Zhou Hao's blood boil and his emotions surge. As for Yin Qingqing's shy attempt to stop him, Zhou Hao only used a little bit of strength, and she completely softened. Although that hand was still pressing on the back of Zhou Hao's hand, it did not have any strength at all. The redness on Yin Qingqing's face spread to her neck, but because her small mouth was blocked by Zhou Hao, she could only make humph sounds of breathing. If this continued, Zhou Hao was afraid that he would eat Yin Qingqing's virgin body under this heaven and earth. But just as Zhou Hao's desire was intense, he suddenly smelled a faint burnt smell. This burnt smell was like the smell of a burning tree. Zhou Hao, who was immersed in Yin Qingqing's delicate virgin fragrance, suddenly smelled this smell and felt greatly disappointed. Furthermore, he also felt a sense of alarm in his heart. Immediately, he let go of Yin Qingqing and looked around vigilantly. Yin Qingqing's bones had been softened by Zhou Hao's thin touch. Zhou Hao stopped moving for a while before she came back to her senses. When she opened her eyes and saw Zhou Hao looking at Zhou Hao with a serious face, she asked gently, "Xiao Hao, what's wrong?" "I smell a burnt smell," Zhou Hao said. Because the trees on this mountain were green, even the sunlight was blocked. It was very difficult for ordinary people to see far from here. However, Zhou Hao's eyesight was extraordinary. He immediately saw that there were wisps of green smoke spreading towards them from afar, and he could even vaguely see some sparks of fire. Zhou Hao's heart trembled. Not good, there's a mountain fire. Yin Qingqing's expression changed when she heard that. She subconsciously held Zhou Hao's arm. Mountain fire? Where is it? She did not need Zhou Hao to explain. She already saw the fire in the distance, quickly spreading over here. The fire came from the mountainside and quickly approached Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing. Yin Qingqing said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, let's run away quickly and head up the mountain." Zhou Hao shook his head. "No way. We won't be able to get out of the fire. We have to go down the mountain." However, the fire was fierce and fast. Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing could already feel the scorching heat wave coming towards them. Although Zhou Hao knew that he would be trapped by the fire if he walked up the mountain, his vision was now filled with flames. He didn't know if he could rush out or not. When she saw the huge fire, which was like a flood or a ferocious beast, Yin Qingqing's heart was filled with fear. However, when she saw the resolute and handsome Zhou Hao beside her, her heart immediately calmed down. She hugged Zhou Hao's arm. She felt that as long as Zhou Hao was by her side, she wouldn't be in any danger. At this moment, Zhou Hao looked around, but he didn't find any water source. Looking at the flame that was getting closer and closer, Zhou Hao said to Yin Qing, who was beside him, "Cousin, hold on tightly to me." Then he held Yin Qingqing horizontally and let her lean her head against his chest. "Don't raise your head." After that, Zhou Hao activated the genuine aura in his body and let it surround him and Yin Qingqing, forming an invisible layer of protection. At the same time, Zhou Hao let out a loud shout. He raised his right palm and pushed it towards the huge fire. The powerful palm force was like a tsunami that rushed towards the huge fire. The huge fire immediately dispersed under the impact of Zhou Hao's genuine aura. A vacuum passage was created by Zhou Hao's palm force in the raging fire. Without any delay, Zhou Hao hugged Yin Qingqing tightly and protected her in his arms. With 2 kicks, he rushed towards the flame. The patch of grass where he had been standing had also been kicked out. Zhou Hao's movement speed could dodge bullets, especially now that he was protecting Yin Qingqing from danger. He used all his strength. In the blink of an eye, he had moved dozens of meters. At this speed, the surrounding flames could not even touch the corners of their clothes before they were thrown far behind by Zhou Hao. Due to the speed being too fast, the strong wind blew away the flames, and a vacuum tunnel extended along with Zhou Hao's movement. In about 2 to 3 seconds, a figure rushed out from the raging flames. It was Zhou Hao, who was hugging Yin Qingqing. Because Zhou Hao moved too fast, the flames could not burn them in time. Zhou Hao turned around and saw that the vacuum passage he had created was immediately engulfed by the flames. "Cousin, it's done. We are safe now," Zhou Hao said softly to Yin, who was hiding in his arms. Yin Qingqing slowly opened her eyes and saw that the two of them were already in a green field. Since the wind was blowing towards the mountain, the fire did not spread towards the foot of the mountain. At this time, Zhou Hao saw a few sneaky figures running down the mountain in the distance. They were also holding some oil barrels and other things. Zhou Hao was shocked when he saw those people. He immediately picked up a few small stones from the ground and threw them at them. Zhou Hao had great strength in his hands. These few ordinary stones became extremely powerful hidden weapons in his hands. He accurately hit the knee of those few people, causing their legs to soften, and then they threw themselves forward. They rolled and fell to the ground. At the same time, the villagers who discovered the fire quickly rushed over. Zhou Hao pointed at those people who he had knocked down and shouted at the villagers, "Capture them!" It was them who set the fire. Although there was no solid evidence, Zhou Hao knew it was those people who started the fire. He saw the gasoline barrels in their hands. Zhou Hao thought to himself, no wonder the fire came so fast. It turned out that gasoline had been poured on the trees. Most of these villagers recognized Zhou Hao. When they heard him, they immediately sent more than 10 people to attack him and subdue him. Quick, put out the fire. The villagers held water buckets with all their might. In order to facilitate irrigation, there were a few faucets on the mountainside. It was convenient to fetch water. Although the villagers worked together, the mountain fire could not stop because they had been splashed with gasoline. Looking at the flames that kept spreading to the mountain, Zhou Hao gritted his teeth with hatred. If the fire spread to the mountain, Huayu village would lose thousands of acres of fruit trees. When the villagers who came to put out the fire saw that the mountain fire could not be put out, more than 20 of them cried out. It seemed that all the fruit trees on the mountain were theirs. There were even a few. If it wasn't for the fact that someone was pulling at them from the side, they would have rushed into the mountain fire. Just as everyone was feeling despair, they suddenly heard a thunderous sound coming from the sky. They looked up at the sky and realized that the sky was covered by a thick layer of black clouds. After a few blinding flashes of lightning, they heard a loud shwa 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 sound as heavy rain poured down from the sky. We are saved. We are saved. Our fruit tree is saved. In the heavy rain, the villagers cheered. Under the heavy rain, the mountain fire quickly weakened and finally extinguished. Zhou Hao heaved a long sigh of relief and muttered to himself, "The heavens never stop men." Finally, the heavens stop men. That's great. Fortunately, the heavens are merciful. Yin Qingqing, who was standing by the side, looked at the cheering villagers in the rain. A smile also appeared on her face, which was drenched by the rain. However, Zhou Hao looked at Yin Qingqing in a daze. After Yin Qingqing's entire body was drenched in the rain, her curves were completely exposed. Especially since her t-shirt was thin to begin with, now it was tightly stuck to her skin, as if it was transparent. Not only her bust, Zhou Hao could even see the 2 small cherries on her chest. Yin Qingqing's current appearance was even more alluring than completely taking off her clothes. It was very fascinating. Realizing that Zhou Hao's gaze was a little strange, Yin Qingqing lowered her head and looked over. Only then did she cry out "ah" and raise her arms to her chest to block the spring light. Zhou Hao also came back to his senses and immediately took off his clothes and put them on Yin Qingqing's body. He looked around and saw that the villagers were still immersed in joy and did not notice. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. What a joke. Yin Qingqing was his woman. If she was seen naked, then even his intestines would turn green with regret. Because he had put the clothes on Yin Qingqing, Zhou Hao had been naked for the first half of his life. However, as a man, he did not suffer any loss. When Yin Qingqing saw Zhou Hao's strong and tough upper body, her face instantly turned completely red. As the chief of Huayu village, Yin Mudong had also rushed over. When he saw Zhou Hao and Yin Qingqing, he was shocked as well. "Xiao Hao, Qingqing, why are all of you here? Are you hurt?" Zhou Hao shook his head. "Fortunately, I protected my cousin and left quickly. Otherwise, it would be really dangerous." He looked at the few people who were subdued by the villagers not far away and said to Yin Mudong, "It was those people who set the fire." After saying that, he walked towards those people with Yin Mudong and the other villagers. When those people saw the villagers surround him aggressively, they were so scared that their entire bodies trembled. Because in this kind of place, if they angered the villagers, even the police would find it very difficult to save them. Moreover, they were caught on the spot when they were arson and escaping. Even the few empty oil barrels were not thrown away in time. When Yin Mudong saw a bearded middle-aged man among them, his face was full of surprise. "Wei Tonghai, it's you?" When Zhou Hao heard this, he also looked towards that man, thinking that this guy was Wei Tonghai. They were the ones who set the fire. A minute, they dared to burn our fruit trees. Kill them, a tall villager said angrily. He rushed forward and knocked down one of the men, then punched him in the face a few times with his left hand behind his back. In fact, Zhou Hao was also very angry. If it wasn't for his skill, he was afraid that he would have died in the sea of fire with Yin Qingqing in that situation. Therefore, in his opinion, these few arsonists didn't need to be pitted even if they were beaten to death. The other villagers also wanted to rush forward, but they heard Yin Mudong shout, "Everyone, don't be rash." Hearing Yin Mudong shout, the villagers stopped in their tracks. Even the villager who had knocked down one of the arsonists stopped. From this, it seemed that the village chief, Yin Mudong, was a very popular person. Zhou Hao did not make a sound. He just stood beside Yin Qingqing. It was better to let Yin Mudong handle this situation. It would also make the village chief more deeply rooted in the hearts of the people and consolidate his position. Yin Mudong walked up to Wei Tonghai and said to him with a stern expression, "Wei Tonghai, why did you bring people to set fire to the fruit trees in our village?" Under the angry eyes of Yin Mudong and the surrounding villagers, Wei Tonghai said in a trembling voice, It's none of my business. It's Mr. Kai who asked me to do this." "Cheshire? Is it that guy from Dongyang County?" Yin Mudong was shocked. Wei Tonghai nodded and said, "Yeah, he gave me $5,000. He asked me to set fire to the trees on this hill. He also sent these people here." He pointed at the men behind him who looked like unemployed people and said, At this time, a few villagers came to Yin Mudong's side and said, "Chief, we've seen it. They burned down more than 200 acres of fruit trees. They probably lost more than 600,000 yuan. The owners of these fruit trees also ran over and cried with tears all over their faces, 'Chief, you have to make the decision for us. You borrowed money from us to plant these trees, and now all the trees have been burned up. How is our family going to live? How are we going to pay you back?" Yin Mudong frowned deeply. He couldn't help but look at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao walked out and said to everyone, "Don't worry, everyone. I will make up for the losses this time. We just need to plant these lands on the fruit trees as soon as possible." Taking out more than 600,000 yuan was just a drop in the ocean to Zhou Hao, but it gave those fruit farmers who relied on these fruit trees to live a life of hope. When everyone heard Zhou Hao's words, their eyes were filled with gratitude. Those few fruit farmers were even more grateful to Zhou Hao. If it wasn't for Zhou Hao supporting them, they would have knelt down in front of Zhou Hao in front of everyone. After counting the losses, Zhou Hao went down the mountain with Yin Mudong and the villagers. Wei Haidong and a few arsonists were also escorted down the mountain by the villagers to be handed over to the police and arrested the culprit behind the scene, Kai Shuer. At this time, the rain had stopped. Zhou Hao was afraid that Yin Qingqing would catch a cold from the rain, so he accompanied her straight to the Yin family. Yin Mudong was also drenched in the rain, so he followed Zhou Hao and went back together. When they arrived at the Yin family's house, they saw a Toyota Jeep parked in front of the door. Zhou Hao also heard an argument coming from inside the house. It belonged to Yin Munin. Zhou Hao quickly helped Yin Qingqing into the house and went straight to the living room on the third floor. He saw Yin Munin arguing with a man in his 30s. His grandparents were sitting on the wooden sofa over there. They looked at Yin Munin, who was so angry that his face was red. When Zhou Hao arrived, he just happened to hear Yin Munin angrily say, "I said I wouldn't let the villagers sell the fruits to you." The man in his 30s sneered at Yin Munin and said, "Be good and let those villagers sell the fruits to me. Otherwise, your family won't be able to continue living. Humph, if you don't sell the fruits to me, you won't have to sell the fruits in your village. See if I can really do it." Hearing this person's boastful words, Zhou Hao thought in his heart that this fellow should be that Kai Zweger. From his tone, it seemed like he was the one who instigated the fire just now. Thinking of this, Zhou Hao felt a strong anger towards Kai Shuehe, who was wearing an insufferably arrogant look on his face. If he was just an ordinary person, he would have died in the sea of fire with Yin Qingqing. This Kai Shuehe was no different from a murderer. "Looks like you really let Wei Tonghai and the others release the fire just now," Zhou Hao said as he walked in and stared coldly at Kai Shuehe. "I originally wanted to ask the police to arrest you, but you came to me by yourself." Kai Shuehe turned to look at Zhou Hao and curled the corners of his mouth. He said with disdain, "Who the F***ck are you? When did you get to interrupt me when I, Kai Shuer, am talking? You deserve a beating." Just as he was speaking, he saw Yin Qingqing behind Zhou Hao and was immediately shocked. Although Yin Qingqing's entire body was drenched by the rain, she was even more elegant and refined like a lotus flower in clear water. She was like a peerless beauty playing the zither at the lotus root pond in an ancient painting. Kai Shuer had never seen such a beauty before. She was completely stunned and opened her mouth, not knowing how to react. The way Kai Shuer looked at Yin Qingqing made Zhou Hao very unhappy, especially his gaze, as if it wanted to pierce through Yin Qingqing's clothes and strip her naked. "Humph!" Zhou Hao snorted coldly. Kai Shuehe felt as if he had been blown by a cold wind and could not help but shiver. "Cousin, go back to your room first," Zhou Hao said softly to Yin. Okay. She immediately walked into a room on the left. That was the room Yin Munin left for her when he built the house. Kai Shuer's gaze was closely following Yin Qingqing's figure, as if she wanted to follow her into that room. When Yin Qingqing's figure disappeared behind the door, only then did he come back to his senses. However, he had some deep hatred towards Zhou Hao. Who the F***ck are you? He shouted at Zhou Hao again. It doesn't matter who I am, but you ordered someone to set fire to the fruit trees in our village. Zhou Hao stared at him. You are dead for sure. At this time, Yin Mudong also came up. When he saw Kai Shuer, his face revealed a shocked expression. Then he also said angrily, Kai Shuer, you asked Wei Tonghai and the others to come and set fire to our village. Mu Nan, quickly call the police. However, Kai Shuehe didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. Hey, don't mess around. When did I order someone to set fire? Don't accuse a good person without evidence. Was it Wei Tonghai and the others who said I'm the one who set the fire? Humph. Unilateral words. I can say that you intentionally set me on fire to slander me. You. Yin Mudong pointed at Kai Shuehe. The muscles on his face were trembling in anger. At this moment, Kai Shuehe revealed a smile. That was Yin Munan's daughter just now, right? Hee. I heard from Wei Tonghai that you have a very beautiful daughter. It's a pity that I didn't see her before, but seeing her today, SKA. His smile became more and more light. Yin Munan, if you let your daughter play with me for a few days, perhaps I can buy some fruit farmers from your village at a higher price. Also, with me, your family's life can rise to another level. What do you think? Think about it. Papa. Before he could finish, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Then, a huge force slapped his face, making it hard for his head to move left and right. Then, he felt a burning pain on both sides of his face, and 3 teeth fell out of his mouth. Only now did he clearly see that the person who suddenly appeared in front of him was Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao's eyes were cold, and anyone who looked at him would feel a chill in their hearts. However, Kai Shuehe looked at Zhou Hao in a daze. You dare to hit me? You know that I am. Crack. Zhou Hao raised his hand and gave him a death slap. Kai Shuer's 2 sides of her face swelled even higher, causing his eyes to narrow. Just as he was about to speak, he saw that Zhou Hao was about to raise his hand again. He hurriedly took a few steps back and took out a handphone. I'll see what kind of cow, ghost, snake, and god you can call out. Zhou Hao stared at Kai Shuer with his hands behind his back. Yin Mudong and Yin Munan walked over. They looked at Kai Shuehe, whose face was beyond recognition, and said to Zhou Hao with hesitation, Xiao Hao this. Zhou Hao raised his hand. I'm not afraid. Is he the only one who knows how to call for help? Then he took out a handphone. He dialed the number of the battalion commander who had been used by Zhou Hao to beat Wei Quan to death last time. There was a military base near Huayu village. Zhou Hao had used those soldiers to get rid of Wei Quanji last time. The battalion commander who had been used by Zhou Hao to shoot Wei Kuaiji to death was called Ma Yuyuan. After that incident, Ma Yuyuan's superior also praised him. Ma Yuyuan naturally wouldn't be promoted immediately because of that incident, but at least, because he had helped Zhou Hao enter Zhao Dingzhou's eyes, his chances of promotion were much higher than others. Therefore, when he heard Zhou Hao calling, Ma Yuyuan felt as if he had heard the god of luck knocking on his door. He said respectfully, Hello, Mr. Zhou. Long time no see. Is there anything I can help you with? There really is something I need your help with. Zhou Hao smiled and said. A guy came to Huayu village to cause trouble. I heard he has some backers in Dongyang County, so I asked you to bring some people here to help. It's good to have a place to settle down. Hearing this, Ma Yuyuan said worriedly, Mr. Zhou, you don't have to kill anyone this time, right? Although he had been put on a show because of Wei Quanji, he still felt that something was not right in his heart. If he didn't have a weapon and didn't hurt anyone, then he probably wouldn't have killed anyone. A flash of ruthlessness flashed across Zhou Hao's eyes, and his voice became softer. Besides, even if he really wants to kill someone, I will help you take care of it. Nothing will happen to him. Ma Yuyuan quickly said, Of course, we don't need to trouble you with this. If that guy dares to hurt our men, we will shoot him to death. Even if he had a strong backer in Dongyang County, it would be useless. I think the people of Dongyang County have come to our side to be impudent. Mr. Zhou, don't worry. I will bring my men over now. Zhou Hao asked for his help. This time, he didn't even need Zhao Dingzhou's order. He directly drove over with hundreds of soldiers. Those soldiers were also from the last time. After the matter was settled, Zhou Hao gave them more than 20,000 yuan. Each of them could get 1 or 200 yuan. Therefore, they were very happy to do these tasks occasionally. Kai Shuer also finished the call. Although her face was still swollen, her eyes recovered some arrogance and pointed at Zhou Hao. She said in a somewhat incoherent voice, Kid, just you wait. My men are coming. If I don't send you to prison to be a gigolo, I will write my name upside down. Then prepare to change your name and surname. Zhou Hao sneered. After a minute or two, Zhou Hao heard the alarm outside. He thought to himself, Kai Shuer actually called the police here. Sure enough, a flurry of footsteps came from below and kept getting closer to the third floor, and then more than a dozen police officers in uniform rushed in. The leader, a man in his 30s, immediately shouted at Zhou Hao, Yin Mudong, and Yin Munin. Don't move. We are the police. Captain Hao, they are deliberately hurting people. Arrest them. Kai Shuer immediately walked towards Captain Hao. When Captain Hao saw Kai Shuehu's swollen face, he asked in surprise, Why your young Master Kai? Looking at Kai Shuehu, who had been beaten beyond recognition by Zhou Hao, Captain Hao almost couldn't recognize him anymore. Who beat you up like this? Kai Shuehu immediately pointed at Zhou Hao. It's him. Captain Hao, you must help me vent my anger. D***. How dare you beat me up like this and bring their whole family back? And that daughter of Yin Munin. You have to bring her back too. Captain Hao straightened his chest and said to Zhou Hao and the others, All right. Now, you have deliberately hurt others. I want to bring you back to investigate. All of you, come with me. Zhou Hao said, Which public security bureau are you from? He thought that if it was the Public Security Bureau, it should still be under the jurisdiction of Xiang City, but Kai Shuer was from the neighboring Dongyang County. Logically speaking, they shouldn't be able to establish a good relationship with the Public Security Bureau of the Xiang City so quickly. Not to mention that Zhou Hao and Situ Li had a deep relationship. He wasn't afraid of the people from the Xiang City's Public Security Bureau. Captain Hao's expression changed slightly, then he shouted loudly, You don't need to care which Public Security Bureau I am from. Anyway, we are the police, so we have the right to bring you back. Seeing Captain Hao's reaction, Zhou Hao knew that these policemen must be from the police station in Dongyang County. Zhou Hao sneered and said, If you are not from the Xiang City Public Security Bureau, then you are crossing the border to investigate a case. Do you have any official approval? If not, I will file a complaint with the county government of Dongyang County. Captain Hao and Kai Shuer's expressions changed slightly. They had always thought that the people in Huayu village were short-sighted and did not have the concept of crossing the border. However, their thoughts were also true. Huayu village was closed off. For many years, the villagers had a common sense of official duty. When they saw the police in uniform, they were already 70% panicked. How could they know anything about crossing the border to investigate a case? However, since Kai Shuer and the others had met Zhou Hao, this idea naturally fell through. If you don't come back with us, I'll treat you as resisting arrest. I can kill you on the spot. A fierce expression appeared on Captain Hao's face. His right hand also touched the gun on his waist. If you have the guts, try shooting. Zhou Hao narrowed his eyes and said coldly. As they were talking, there was the sound of cars coming from below, followed by neat footsteps. Zhou Hao knew that it was Ma Yuyuan and the others. Sure enough, a group of soldiers in green military uniform rushed in. The leader was Ma Yuyuan. There were 30 to 40 police officers and soldiers in total, filling up the hall. Ma Yuyuan was also stunned when he saw Captain Hao's dozen or so police officers. His gaze immediately looked for Zhou Hao's figure. When he saw Zhou Hao in the hall, he heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately said to the policeman, Which public security bureau are you from? Why are you here? Do you have official approval? When Captain Hao and Kai Shuer saw that so many soldiers had suddenly come, their faces were full of surprise, especially when they saw that these soldiers all had weapons in their hands and looked like real bullets. Although the people on his side were policemen, compared to those well-trained soldiers, once a conflict broke out, these dozen or so policemen were not enough to deal with. When Kai Shuer saw Zhou Hao calling, she thought that he was just calling some villagers to come and support the situation. She did not expect Zhou Hao to call the soldiers over. If there was a conflict with the soldiers, it would be difficult to handle this matter. Besides, Captain Hao and the others were from the Public Security Bureau in Dongyang County. It was not fair to cross the border to handle a case. We are from the Public Security Bureau of the Dongyang County. Captain Hao finally said, These people injured Mr. Kai. Mr. Kai belongs to the county of Dongyang. So, we need to bring these people back for investigation. He pointed at Zhou Hao, Yin Munin, and the others. However, he heard Zhou Hao snorting coldly. You said that I injured him. What evidence do you have? He only said one side of the story. How can you accuse me like this? You. Kai Shuer glared at Zhou Hao, but what Zhou Hao said made sense. Now, there was only one victim like him. Yin Mudong and Yin Munin must have helped Zhou Hao. Without a witness to testify for him, Zhou Hao would not be able to do anything about it. Originally, Kai Shuer thought that Zhou Hao was just an ordinary person and sent him into the Public Security Bureau of Dongyang County. He had 100 ways to deal with him. But now, it seemed that Zhou Hao's background was also extraordinary. He heard Zhou Hao say again, "Speaking of which, I have a few witnesses who can prove that you set fire to our fruit trees." He looked at Ma Yuyuan and said, "Battalion Commander Ma, please send this guy to our Xiang City's Public Security Bureau. We still need him to compensate for our village's losses." "All right," Ma Yuyuan responded. Immediately, 2 soldiers went forward to catch Kai Shuer. However, when the 2 soldiers moved, Captain Hao had already pulled out his gun. "Let's see who dares to touch Mr. Kai." The dozen or so police officers beside him also pulled out their guns. However, Ma Yuyuan's soldiers had already surrounded the police officers. The automatic rifles in their hands were all aimed at them, and a powerful aura burst forth from their bodies. Ma Yuyuan also said coldly to Captain Hao with a dark face, "Let's see if we dare or not." What a joke. The Army and the Public Security Bureau had different systems, and once there was a conflict, the military would definitely protect them. The people in the army had never suffered losses in the outside world, not to mention that Zhao Dingzhou and Zhou Hao had a close relationship. Ma Yuyuan was helping Zhou Hao this time. And if there was a problem, Ma Yuyuan would definitely help Zhou Hao. Zhao Dingzhou would definitely not stand idly by. "Whoever dares to touch Mr. Kai, I will kill him first." Captain Hao roared with a ferocious expression. His body was also emitting a kind of hostility. Zhou Hao frowned when he sensed the evil aura coming from Captain Hao's body, because he felt that this kind of evil aura was somewhat familiar. In his mind, he recalled the ninja he had met in Hong Kong. The ninja who was hiding in the darkness and waiting for an opportunity had this kind of ruthless aura on his body. Could it be that Captain Hao was related to those ninja? Zhou Hao thought to himself. Those ninja were the subordinates of the Mitsui Financial Group, and the Mitsui Financial Group secretly supported the anti-Hua forces. If that was the case, Captain Hao might be related to the anti-Hua forces. If this was really the case, it would be dangerous. Captain Hao was in the Public Security Bureau, and he was able to obtain a lot of information from the system. If this information was leaked to the anti-Hua forces, it would be a huge threat. Suddenly, Zhou Hao casually picked up a glass cylinder on the coffee table next to him and quietly threw it towards Captain Hao. Although Zhou Hao did not use any genuine auras on this hand, the urn was also extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it flew in front of Captain Hao. Captain Hao, who was originally confronting Ma Yuyuan, subconsciously turned his head away when he did not see the urn. The urn also hit Kai Shuer, who was standing behind Captain Hao, on the head. Aya! Kai Shuer was hit right on the head, and then she screamed in pain. Her vision went black, and she fainted. When Zhou Hao saw that Captain Hao's reaction was so fast, he almost relied on instinct to avoid danger. This was because he had gone through extremely harsh training. Otherwise, he would not be so sharp. Even Ma Yuyuan, who was beside him, couldn't help but be surprised when he saw Captain Hao's movements, because he knew very well that even the elites of the Special Forces might not have this kind of reaction. Captain Hao immediately looked at Zhou Hao, both of his eyes shooting out a sharp light. When Zhou Hao had attacked just now, he could tell that Captain Hao was a person who had hidden his martial arts. He was even more suspicious of him. His intuition told him that Captain Hao must have something to do with those Japanese ninja. Therefore, Zhou Hao shouted to Ma Yuyuan, "Battalion Commander Ma, catch him." As he spoke, he also rushed over. Captain Hao's expression immediately changed when he saw Zhou Hao approaching him. Without waiting for Ma Yuyuan to make a move, he kicked Ma Yuyuan's ankle with his left leg, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground. Then, Captain Hao raised the gun in his hand and aimed at Zhou Hao. However, when he put Ma Yuyuan down and was about to raise the gun, he found that Zhou Hao had already appeared in front of him. Without any hesitation, Zhou Hao turned his palm into a knife and slashed at Captain Hao's neck. His other hand was like a crane's beak as it pecked at Captain Hao's wrist that was holding the gun. Captain Hao was obviously not a kind person. When he saw Zhou Hao attacking, he did not retreat, but instead advanced. He crashed into Zhou Hao's arms to neutralize Zhou Hao's attack. This time, he used 100% of his strength, and his strength was extremely great. If it was an ordinary person, he would have used up most of his strength. Being hit by him like this, he would definitely be sent flying more than 10 meters away. However, Zhou Hao was not someone ordinary people could compare with. His body was as stable as Mount Tai. After Captain Hao crashed into his arms, Zhou Hao seized the opportunity to use his arms to wrap him up, lifting Captain Hao off the ground. Zhou Hao's move. It was the bear show in the Five Birds play, simulating the posture of a black bear hugging a tree. Under Zhou Hao's immense strength, Captain Hao was instantly unable to move. His body was also being squeezed by Zhou Hao's arms until it was very uncomfortable. Even his bones made a dala sound. 2 lines of blood even flowed out from his nose. Even in this kind of pain, Captain Hao gritted his teeth and did not shout. Instead, he suddenly lowered his head and hit Zhou Hao's forehead. However, after he hit Zhou Hao, he found that Zhou Hao's head was as hard as a diamond. He didn't hurt Zhou Hao at all, but his head was bleeding. Zhou Hao let go of Captain Hao's arms, and Captain Hao fell to the ground. Zhou Hao took advantage of the fact that Captain Hao could not move and immediately sealed his acupuncture points. That was because